original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Would you, if you're the Jets, offer Garrett Wilson and Quinnen Williams and a third-round pick? You don't give up a first for the Patriots first. You're not giving up your first-round pick.
Yeah, but I'm giving up two of my best players.
Right, but
they're better than first-round
think about
picks,
this.
especially Wilson,
Now,
who's young.
I knew you were going to do that, so think about it, though.
Why are the Patriots doing this?
Hold on. So hold on now.
You would consider not picking in the first round this year?
Yes, because listen, hear me out. Hear me out.
I'll hear you out.
Hear me out.
But
I'm
I'm
getting
taking in
two
the first round.
surefire first-round players.
That neither one play left tackle.
Okay, listen to me.
I'm
getting
listening.
two.
Yeah,
I'm
listen,
getting.
yeah,
See, I would consider it.
Oh my goodness.
So, see, I think to me, in what I've seen of him, and I haven't crushed it like you have, he wants to know if Deuce is wearing skinny jeans.
no.
Deuce, you wearing skinny jeans?
That's fun to
I
me.
remember when you bought denim jeans from Levi's, it took like a month before they were worked in.
Right.
Now they come already broken in, they're stretchy.
they already got a
it's
hole
great.
in 'em.
It's not great.
And they were giving out a first, a second, a father first, and cross.
What?
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium. Happy New Year, everybody. Getting ready for this final game against the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be an interesting one for a lot of different reasons. And we're going to get into all of that.
Yeah.
I hope everyone had a good New Year's. Alex, Paul.
I'm hoping it's a good New Year.
Yeah, Deuce will be here. Evan will be by later. And we'll get into all that. We got to hurry because we got to do picks today.
We do.
It's a big day. So, did we watch the games yesterday? The two
did.
games.
I did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for more serious reasons, we didn't get to have all three.
Right.
But yeah, the first game I thought was wildly entertaining. The first and only one of the playoffs that I would say fit in that.
that was
Arizona
awesome.
State-Texas game was a lot of fun.
So
to watch.
I don't care if he's going to be the equipment manager, but I want the Scabito guy on my team.
Scatterboo.
Yeah.
So I declared him a back-of-the-envelope guy.
Oh,
for
I
Fred.
know. Yeah. I know he's not your type of player.
Oh, he's a great player.
Oh,
He's
you
a
like
great,
him?
great college
I
player.
thought you wouldn't like him.
Oh, he's not
He
going to be.
tries too hard.
No, he's talented. Like
I
he just
think,
kind
yeah.
of was constantly overlooked.
Yeah.
But he's not Lad McConkey.
No, I'm not saying he's a first-round pick, but
Yeah.
I want him on my team.
Yeah, that's great.
He's one of my circle the wagon guys.
Alex is laughing because she knows I have new ins and outs, and I'm gonna try to
Okay.
see if I can go at least one day with my new. I'm
Laughing at that,
I'm
and
in
also you being out on guys that try too hard is kind of funny.
Well, yeah, Paul doesn't
No,
like the
but he
try-hard
doesn't-
guys.
Paul doesn't like a hardo.
He doesn't. Thank you for
Okay.
understanding. Like Fred sort of makes
There's
it
a
out to
difference.
be yes. Like if you try, Paul doesn't like you.
Right.
That's
God
it's kind
forbid
of a
you work hard and do what you're
No,
supposed to do.
if you get
It's
if
if
you
you're not-
get there based on your hustle, he doesn't like you.
Got it.
He
you're-
likes guys
you're-
with talent.
You're a run through the wall guy who can't play.
Okay.
I leave those for other teams.
So that old saying, what is it? Talent that doesn't work hard isn't as good as
Hard
not,
work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Not
he
your
doesn't
mantra.
believe in that. He doesn't believe in that. No.
Now, ideally, you have guys like Tom Brady who are very talented and work extremely hard. Like,
Right.
I don't not want Tom Brady on my team because he works so hard.
Yeah.
He's a try-hard,
Right.
like, which is the kind of the way that Fred sort of explained
Well,
it. But
Paul liked Tom better when he wasn't getting the employee parking space.
yes, I
Yeah,
did. I
yeah.
mean, because we never criticized him
Right.
for no longer
Well,
caring about the
Andy
off-season
certainly
program.
did. Andy said he was washed. Anyway.
But Scatterboo's performance in that game yesterday was
Oh.
was unreal.
It was. I really enjoyed watching that. The night before, Ashton Genty. I have to admit, it's the first time I really had an extended look, and
Same with me.
I think what it showed is when you go against these Big Ten teams or SEC teams, the better Big Ten or SEC teams, the line play is what makes the difference between these games. And certainly, he ran into a brick wall, still at over 100 yards. But you notice his helmet's different than everybody else's?
I didn't notice. I was.
He's got more of a motorcycle helmet, so he's still got a grill, but he's got the piece on the bottom
Okay.
as well.
I didn't notice that.
It's
I wasn't
almost-
watching that closely.
Yeah, it's almost like a race car driver helmet.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean,
But he's good. He's good.
He's a good player, and that game was a little bit more predictable. And I actually thought it was a little bit closer than the score indicated.
It was.
You know, Boise gets that touchdown call back. They missed a couple of field goals. I thought they kind of got in their own way a little too much.
Yeah. Let's first praise Jesus, their coach.
Oh, is that what James Franklin said?
No. That's Penn State's coach.
Yeah, it's James Franklin.
No, Boise State's coach.
Oh,
before every interview. That's what,
okay.
So anyway,
the Boise State coach is a praise Jesus guy.
Oh, before every statement, yeah. But that's fine.
Yeah, to each his own.
All right, so let's get back to the Patriots. Coordinators talked today.
Yep.
Gerard talked yesterday.
Drake May is starting.
According to the head coach of the offense, Drake May is definitely starting.
Well, Mayo said yesterday that
if he's healthy, he will play.
Right,
but Van Pelt made it unequivocally clear.
Well, if he's not healthy, he's not going to play.
No, but he didn't even add that caveat.
No, but he's going to play.
Okay.
Right? I'm trying, Alex. I'm really trying to withhold.
No,
I'm out. I'm out on my petty arguments with Fred, so I'm really trying.
Up until I heard Van Pelt today, because of the injury to the finger on the playing hand, I thought there was a possibility he may not. But today, Van Pelt made it clear he's definitely starting.
But the information that has changed is that he said he looked great in practice yesterday.
Yeah.
So with whatever ailments they put up on, I think Van Pelt is telling you it had no bearing on his performance.
Isn't that what I just said? Now that I've heard Van Pelt, I said he's starting.
Yeah, you guys usually do say the same thing and argue about it anyways.
I actually thought Mayo said he was starting yesterday too, but
if he's healthy,
right?
But we didn't know that until today.
I knew he was healthy.
Okay, you did. I didn't.
I thought Mayo left a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you,
for
Alex.
interpretation.
I thought he. Well,
thank you.
I'm gonna save it for off air.
Okay.
Because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But I don't think that Mayo had. I think Mayo's. You know what? I'm going to say it anyway. I think Mayo said what he said as a little out in case someone said to him, no, he's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the head coach had every intention of starting Drake May, and the offensive coordinator has every intention of starting Drake May. And the out that was left yesterday was just in case someone said.
Could be.
It was the
you know what? Do we really need to play Drake May?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So as long as he gets through the you didn't say that every other week. As long as he makes it through the week healthy,
right. So
that was my take.
So there's been a lot of debate on all the shows about to win or not to win, to play to win, to not play to win. I think there's no doubt. Whoever's out there, you're playing to win.
Right.
You know, I don't care if Joe Milton is the quarterback. He's playing to play hard. You're playing to win the game. Mm-hmm. There's no telling guys, "Oh, don't play at 100%." No, you're playing to win. The question is who's playing.
Do you think that May should play?
I think that I would play Milton.
Oh.
And not because I want to lose, but I don't think there's anything to gain at this point with May out there. Yeah. I think there is something to gain by
especially Buffalo backups.
Yeah, put Milton out there. Let's see how he does in a game. Do we have a backup here? Because right now we don't know. I mean, I don't know, for example. So I think there is something to gain by putting Milton out there. Plus, you're giving an attaboy to a guy who you said all season has been a great teammate, great practice player, great on the scout team, playing the opposing quarterback. So give him a bone. Give him a game. So I think there is something to be gained there, whereas I think there's not much to be gained.
And there's a lot to lose, too,
And and that goes without saying. You're right, but I didn't even want to bring that into it.
Right. Yeah, don't put that bad energy out into the world.
Right.
So, and we talked about this on Tuesday, and it's not something that I know that Evan is kind of strong. He doesn't think he should play. This is a rare one for me where I don't feel overly strong about any of it.
Yep.
If they play him, I'll be happy to watch him play, and if they don't, I'll understand why they didn't play him. I'm not
dying on the hill on this one.
I'm not dying on the hill on this one. Perfectly put.
Yeah.
I do find it a little bit odd, though. There's not much to be gained for Drake May, which I kind of agree with, because you're going to be playing, I think, a glorified preseason game against backups and whatnot. It's a little bit more than a preseason game because they are actual NFL players.
Right.
In the preseason, there's a lot of guys.
These aren't 54 to 100.
Yeah, and you got to play some players because not no one has enough players to just sit all the starters. So I agree there's little to be gained for Drake May, but if that's the case, then isn't that the same for Joe Milton, the whole find out if he can be your backup quarterback?
No, but how he runs the game, how he gets in and out of the huddle, how he looks at things. Like if he looks terrible, then we've learned something.
I know, but if he doesn't look terrible, what have you learned? If you can't learn anything about Drake May, why can you learn stuff about Joe Milton?
At least he can do it at that level. If he can't do it at that level,
we saw him play in the preseason games,
and it wasn't good.
His performance wasn't good, but getting in and out of the huddle wasn't an issue.
No, but let's see if his performance has improved since then.
And it's a full season that's gone on since the preseason. Right. So to judge him based only on what you saw in a preseason game when he's never taken a regular season snap,
exactly,
it's a different.
Yeah. I think there is something to gain.
I don't think this is much of a regular season snap. Let's put it that way.
He's now gone through a season of NFL practices. What has he learned about the offense? What has he learned about?
Yep.
So I think there's.
I get all that. I think you guys are right. I mean, you can play Joe Milton again. I'm not going to die on the hill. I would say I think it's kind of odd that you're singling out one guy and saying no, we're not going to play you. You're too valuable. We don't want you.
Oh, there might be others, but he's the main guy. Like for example,
it sends a bad message. Like, why is he special?
Oh,
why doesn't he have to play in this game?
I hear that. I was just reading just before the show, 2007, when the Patriots in Week 16 played the Giants, and it was a meaningless game in terms of standing and everything for both teams. But Coughlin, made the Coughlin said, we're going to play to win.
Isn't it a little different?
Well, it is, but afterwards,
I had this conversation with Mike.
Yeah, after the game, John Madden sent Coughlin a letter and thanked him for approaching this game the only way he thought you should approach it.
But I would argue that if the Patriots were 12-3 heading into that game, Coughlin wouldn't have done what he did.
Well, I don't know, because the other thing that I remember from back then is, the Patriots had beaten them early. I'm thinking of something else, but the Giants had not played well in that season, and they started to turn it on. And I think for Coughlin, he needed to get his team ready. And what better way to do that than go up against the team that was going for an undefeated season?
I think it's
so.
One
I
of
think
those
there was
things.
A lot to gain for the Giants by playing well and perhaps winning that game going into the playoffs.
I think it's one of those things that's the way it. You cannot possibly argue that it didn't benefit the Giants greatly.
Yeah.
But it's one of those deals that I think the result ended up being that.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily sure that's why it happened.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I there's probably some kind of a principle that has a name for that. Like all those different buzzwords that you come up with. But I feel like that's the way it worked out. But it just as easily
unintended consequences.
Yeah, like. I don't necessarily let the result dictate the decision. I don't think it was a bad decision by the Giants, but it's because the Patriots were going for perfection, and I think it was important that the league has an integrity. I think that's what John Madden was really impressed by. Like the fact that you took this with such seriousness was impressive, and I think they should have.
Yeah.
I think the Giants did the right thing. Now, what ended up being unbelievably...
Don't do a Brett Favre fall down for Michael Strahan.
It was unbelievably positive for the Giants because it worked out that they gave the Patriots everything they could handle.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a great game, and the Giants got a huge boost of confidence.
They did.
I don't necessarily think that Tom Coughlin went into that game saying, we're going to play this game hard because we're going to compete with them, and then when we do, we're going to get a big lift from it. That's what ended up happening, but I'm not necessarily sure that was the intention.
But no, you're probably right, but I do think there was the thought that they hadn't played well. They were starting to gain momentum going into the playoffs, and he needed to keep his team, rolling. And I think there wasn't a better opponent to do that with. So, like you said, what if they had gotten blown out?
Right.
Now do you go into the playoffs?
Or worse, what if they lost a player or two that they needed?
Yep.
That's the fear.
I know.
That's why these teams don't play their guys.
I know. Yeah, so it isn't an apples to apples comparison. In this case, only one team is going into the playoffs; the other one isn't.
And we'll get into the picks later, and this is as hard a week as you'll ever have. The last week of the season, you just
don't know.
You just have no idea what teams are going to be like.
Yep. So there's that. Who plays in this game? And then, of course, the ramifications of a win or a loss. The Patriots can do no worse than 4 picking in the draft. But, of course, if they lose the game, they could have the number 1 overall.
They will have the number 1 overall if they lose. That's locked in.
Yeah, that's locked in if they lose. So, depending on who you want in the draft, that could be important to you. So.
Do you listen at all to my shows this morning? With Fred and Hardy?
Yeah, I tried to listen to Fred. I mean,
It was tough.
I don't know why Fred thinks we're so interested in his family. I mean, it's one thing okay, like if you were really funny and had really funny stories, maybe it would become interesting, but I'm not at all interested in his family stories.
See, I kind of agree with
He
you.
doesn't make them entertaining.
I'm not overly entertained by, the younger people who do nothing but are exasperated by their adults,
Right.
their parents.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm a big family-oriented person. It's
Right.
my parents did everything for me.
Right.
And I really don't think it's all that interesting to dump all over them.
Yeah.
Now that they're older and maybe a little bit crazy. But the point that he was making about J.J. McCarthy being available
I
to
didn't
trade.
understand that. Why do you have to trade him? Why not learn under Darnold?
If you wanted to keep Darnold for
Right.
isn't that the perfect insurance policy?
Yeah.
I don't want to pull the plug on Sam Darnold because he was so good for us.
Right.
But in the back of my mind, I'm not quite sure that he hasn't, completely put the seeing ghost Sam Darnold in the rearview mirror. So I'm going to sign him to a big deal, but I still have J.J. McCarthy, and that way if the
Insurance policy.
Right.
yeah, and then if Darnold ends up it's the real deal, then maybe next year you trade him.
Yeah.
I don't think that J.J. McCarthy has to be available this offseason.
Yes. So Fred Toucher was saying if they sign Darnold, they're going to have to trade McCarthy.
And that he'll be more valuable than Shedeur Sanders or Cam
Right,
Ward,
and
which I
that-
would agree with that.
Maybe.
But I don't necessarily. I'm with Fred. I don't think they have to trade him right now if they wanted to hold on to Darnold. I don't think.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy costs nothing as a
Yeah.
rookie.
Yep.
And like you said, Sam Darnold kind of came out of nowhere this year. Who's to say that continues or he just reverts back to his mean?
Now, I wouldn't mind, if I were a Viking fan and they decided to hold on to Darnold, I would say, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I can win with
He's
him.
earned it. Yeah.
He's
but
earned it.
Keep them both.
Now, that also
I'm with
could
that.
change in the playoffs if, he throws 3 picks
Gets
and they lose in the
exposed.
playoffs and
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, no, there's the same old Sam Darnold. Or even Sunday night, against Detroit. I think he'll play well. I think he's played really well all year. I just don't understand why, even if you wanted to re-up him for 3 years, you have to get rid of
Right.
J.J. McCarthy now. You can, if you hold on to Darnold and he's your guy, and then eventually you're probably going to have to move J.J.
Yeah,
McCarthy. But
right.
I don't think you have
yeah.
to do it in year 2.
Joe from the Darkness writes in on this subject.
Joe from the Darkness?
That's what he says.
Alex, that'll be another one for the newsletter.
Yeah. He says, I think
what
you're
do you see in the darkness?
I think
Ask
your
Aaron
comparison.
Rodgers.
I think your comparisons between this QB class and 2022 are off base and overly pessimistic. Over the last 2 months, I've seen a growing consensus among draft pundits that these 2 quarterbacks, Ward and we're talking Sanders, will be top 5 picks, even if they are graded lower by those same pundits that never existed in 2022. For reference, the mock draft database. Have you been to this site?
So can I just stop for a second?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone on this show has ever said that these guys are not going to go in the top 5.
Yeah, that's true.
They're just not worthy of being top 5
Right.
picks.
The mock draft database consensus big board has Sanders and Ward as 2 and 3 respectively. That same database ended 2022 with Malik Willis at 10 and Pickett at 15 and Ritter at 31. Additionally, the comments draft guys have made about these quarterbacks being graded lower than they will actually be taken are extremely common for quarterback prospects. Last year, I heard similar comments made regularly about Daniels, McCarthy, Penix, and Nix. Your doomerism about the quarterbacks at the top of this draft is excessive and annoying. Sure, they aren't the 2024-2021 classes, but I'm not convinced this is an extraordinarily weak class.
I feel like it is an
Well,
extraordinarily
the fact
weak
that we're only
class.
talking about 2
And
guys.
Yeah.
I don't. That doesn't mean I don't think these guys are going to go in the top 5. I'm saying I don't think that they're going to be valuable enough for teams to say, not only I want to take him in the first round, I'm willing to give up multiple picks to move up to a spot where I have to get to take him in the first round. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Right.
I just don't feel like these guys are thought of the way the top 3 were last year. All 3 of those guys were worthy of trading for.
Yeah, I don't
And that's
think-
why the Giants were trying so hard to trade with us
Yeah.
to get Drake May. He was the 3rd guy, and they were clamoring for him. I don't think you get – listen, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. No,
But I don't think people are going to be clamoring for Shedeur
and
Sanders
the fact
and
that
Cam Ward.
when we talk about this draft class, it's only those 2 guys.
And I
really.
don't know why that annoys you. The Patriots aren't interested in
Yeah,
the
it's,
quarterback
like,
market.
irrelevant
Like
to us.
It's
Especially if we stay at 1.
like you could still make a trade if you want to.
No, but
Make a trade.
they're annoyed because they're hoping for the haul.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping to get the bag for the first overall pick. And it's just it may not happen the way it has in the past.
And
It's
and
just
by the way,
I hate-
similar to the way it hasn't
Listen,
happened in the past, like that year.
It stinks. I know it, but that's just probably the fact. Yeah.
Like, Evan, I thought he recounted in detail about Jacksonville's situation. I think it was the 22 that he was talking about, and they ended up having to take Trayvon Walker because they didn't have anybody else
Yeah.
that was looking to move up. And again,
Or at least not for what they were asking.
so Malik Willis was 10. These guys are 2 and 3. Like, is that big of a difference?
Well, it is. Kind
Is it really?
Yeah, 10 to 2 or 3.
You had 3 guys that were supposed to go in the first round, and one of them was supposed to go 10, who, by the way, didn't go until day 2.
No. But I think
So I don't think it's that out of the realm of possibility that these guys are not as highly sought after as people think.
I believe that, yeah. All right. I also talked about, and Matt had it in the intro today, about my Jets fantasy trade.
Oh,
Patriots-
yeah. Yeah, and I just want to say, I said to you as we were coming in off the air, I just want to duly noted that you kept saying, listen to me, hear
you
me
listen,
out,
yeah.
hear me out. And I was listening, and I was hearing you out.
St-
I was not poo-pooing you. That was Evan. Not me.
Stephen Westford was also listening. He said, I've made a lot of fun of Fred over the years, as we all have. The Nut Wizard, Soap with a Slot, Non-Tidal River, Abs, the rest have kept us entertaining, but every once in a while, maybe every 4 or 5 years, Fred's genius shines through.
Every 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. That's not bad.
It's a good run.
It only takes once to be a genius.
Heck yeah.
Tuesday's trade scenario with the Jets was brilliant, with the Jets keeping 2 first-round picks. Side note, of course, the Patriots should want to pick up Wilson and Williams for a first-round pick. And then, as Fred is wont to do, he puked on his own brilliance by asking mere minutes later, why would the Giants ever want to give up their best receiver for a first-round pick? Never changed, Fred. The difference is...
Oh, I'm going to defend you on this.
No,
Go
the
ahead,
difference
Fred.
is Garrett Wilson's disgruntled.
Yes,
that's why.
That's a huge difference.
That's the thing that sparked why the Jets would even consider this, is because he wants out.
The Jets might feel like they have to trade Garrett Wilson.
Right.
I don't think the Giants feel like they have to get rid of Neighbors.
So, Stephen Westford, you weren't listening quite as much as you thought you were.
Fred's genius intact.
Yeah.
Intact.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome,
Thank
Fred.
you, Paul.
I'm always here to support you.
2025.
Yep.
New year.
It's a new me. In
All right.
2025.
So we've been taking
So
emails.
far, I've made it 25 minutes.
Podcasts@patriots.com is the email address. You can sign up for the PU newsletter by going to patriots.com/PU newsletter. Sign up. We got one ready to go tomorrow.
Sure do.
Okay, very good. You definitely want to get that, especially in the off season. A little extra content while the Patriots aren't playing. So
I feel like they're going to get off the rails in the off season.
they
We're gonna
might.
have fun.
They might. Yeah. Might behind the scenes videos, stuff like that in our offices.
Oh,
People
look who's
don't.
here.
People don't know where I work. They don't know where Paul works.
Yeah.
It'd be good to see.
Maybe the pre-game show routines.
What's-
There are
going on
people in the
behind the
building
scenes?
who don't know where Paul works anymore.
Yeah. we've
Some
got-
people see me and they're like, I
That's
haven't
the
seen you
thing.
forever.
Now
Where
that
you
we're
been?
all downstairs, I had someone that didn't realize I even still worked here.
Yeah,
so.
we got
Yeah.
Paul hidden.
Yeah.
But guess who's here?
Look who's back from the locker room. What was the mood? Were the players friendly? Too bad none of them look like Derrick Henry. Hey Mike, what was it like in the locker room? Hey Mike, what was it like in the locker room?
Hey, Mike.
So nice.
What was
The
it?
Nothing
First-
puts a
This is the last
smile on
one.
Deuce's face.
When you
like
work on your music this
Yeah,
off season, this should be
yeah.
like the first song you
All
learn
right,
on guitar.
I can do an acoustic version,
Yeah.
and I'll actually tell you what it was like in the locker room with it musically.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll extend my response on that.
You're
Last one though, right? This is the last locker room return of the year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sadly, last
Can
one.
we just play it randomly in the off season?
Well,
just have me-
technically, we'll be in the locker room on Monday.
No, but we won't be on.
Yeah.
We won't be on the air.
Yeah.
We're not scheduled to be on
Right.
the air.
Well,
as far as we know.
emergency.
Oh, God.
No, but so nice. Heard from Brendan Schooler today, and you could tell it really meant a lot to him.
We probably should have mentioned.
Yeah, we didn't
No,
talk
no,
about
you
that
didn't
yet.
talk
I'm glad
about-
you're
that's
bringing it up.
Good, Mike.
Guys, he's our Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations,
We
first
were
time
saving
Pro
it for
Bowler.
you.
All right,
Saving it
yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah. But no, he was really excited. These are the moments where he talked a little bit about remembering being with his dad and his brother, and watching football games growing up, and his dad saying someday maybe that could be you. And he said I just had a really nice phone call with my family to let them know, and that was so you just see he was really affected by it. So it's cool. It's the human side of it. You see the guy who's obviously put a ton of work in. I mean, he was at 2 different colleges. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
so
kind of
was he
bounced it
happy for
around.
Texas or disappointed for Oregon?
Right, exactly. No, they asked him a little bit about that, but he seemed like he was excited for Texas. So
And
I think
I don't know if we've already posted it, but we have when Gerard
Yeah.
announced it to the team, so we've got
Yeah,
that.
shout out to football for
Yeah.
letting us capture that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that'll be if it isn't already, it's up on Patriots platforms.
yeah,
It was
is. I
so
saw it
cool
on
that
Twitter,
Slater
yeah.
was in the room for that because Slater or Schooler's story is that Slater was the guy he modeled his game after.
Yeah.
Him and his dad would watch Slater play and say, "Hey, this is your path to the NFL," and then by happenstance they ended up on the same team together and.
Yeah.
Just now
I have
he's
to be
getting
honest,
coached
because
by him.
a few days ago we were told, we've got one player that made it, and they wouldn't tell us who, because God forbid we leak it.
Oh, we have to let the media know first.
Yeah, but my first thing was, Gonzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's it.
Right.
And then if not him, it's Beringer.
Yeah.
Like I, blame, not good on me, but I forgot about Schooler.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
No, one other thing I'd point out too, because I think we gave him a little crap last year about some of his inability to kind of keep his temper under
He
control and taking
definitely
some stupid
he
penalties.
definitely cut back on the
And he said that.
undisciplined
Yeah,
penalties.
and he said that today. He said, last year I thought I took some stupid penalties and kind of lost control, and I really trying to be more of a leader this year. So, not a lot of bright spots this year, but definitely
Good on him and good on you bringing it up, because
Yeah.
both of us
Yep.
were critical in a lot of post
Yep.
games last year of another unsportsmanlike conduct
Yep.
penalty or another late hit kind of stuff, and I don't think he had any of those this
No,
year.
no. They asked him about it, but he brought it up, and yeah, just good story. It's nice to just have a little see something positive
Right.
come out of this season. For,
Our Ron Burton
for
Award
somebody.
winner too this year.
Yeah,
So maybe you want to arrest him so he's ready for the Pro Bowl.
the Pro Bowl games. He's going to get in that dodgeball game. You want to make sure he's nice and limber.
He would seem like a good dodgeball player.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
thin, so he
Yeah.
could turn sideways.
But
It'd be hard to hit.
It's really
Long hair,
athletic,
though, yeah.
just he's versatile.
Might hit the flow.
You'd have to get the replay to see if it hit his hair. Yeah.
But also, in terms of the Revs locker room, heard from Christian Ellis as well as Kendrick Bourne too. So, Bourne, kind of interesting. I thought Mike Giardi had a good question for him. Listed off all the different, like Josh McDaniels, Matt Patricia, Bill O'Brien, Alex Van Pelt. You've had 4 different coordinators here. Is it hard on a player? And he said, yeah, it's an underrated part of it is, understanding how the offense is run, what this offensive coordinator is looking for. So he's, vote of confidence for AVP, said he really likes AVP, but just a player's perspective, a receiver's perspective on some of the challenges. And he's had, I'm sure he had another OC when he's at San Francisco too. So, he's had a bunch of different offenses. And I think the other thing is these guys all seem to understand this is just how the league works. Even the coaches talking today, it's, this is it. You win 3 games. Everybody knows everything's on the table, and you don't know what's going to happen next week.
You're talking about Covington and AVP talking today.
AVP. AVP especially. I think we all. I'll speak for myself, but I really enjoyed listening to him this year.
Me
He's
too.
just
Yeah,
very
he's frank.
honest.
Yep.
Never heard a
Accountable.
coach
Very
willing
accountable.
to admit mistakes,
Yeah.
pointing out I shouldn't have called that play the other day. I thought, he obviously had a couple missteps this season, but overall, I just enjoyed listening to him. I'd probably say the same for Josh back in the day. Certain coaches, you just enjoy listening to their view on football, and especially when with AVP, it's not as, you don't feel like it's being editorialized, really. He's just kind of telling you how he feels, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that from him this
Yeah.
year.
So, that's going to be the big topic after this game is who stays, who goes. I know there's been a little bit of a groundswell to keep AVP.
Yeah.
And I think that started maybe 3/4 of the way through the season. I think, Paul, you were the one of all the names, the top names on the team, starting with Wolf down,
Yep.
of those guys, just from appearances, AVP looks like he's done the best job.
And I think he's had the hardest job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the offense, forget about the stats, but just look at the development of Drake May, which was priority number one for him.
Yeah.
I think he did a pretty good job with that.
Yeah, and it's not perfect. And he tells us every week all these little things, like, and he's really hard on himself. Like he talked about that pitch against the Chargers that, resulted in the fumble.
Yeah.
He put that on him. I put them in a bad spot. I put our guys in a bad spot. Those are the ones that keep them up.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to give him all this credit. Like, well, maybe stop making bad play calls and you wouldn't be keeping yourself up. So it's not been perfect. I'm not trying to say that, but I think out of those four guys, his job was the most difficult given the lack of support and the fact that you're dealing with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So if anyone, I think, has made a case for himself, I think it's Alex Van Pelt.
I think he's earned the case to give him some talent. Like, some of the other, the other.
How does it look if you have some
like
better players?
You could say that about across the roster, but he's one where, he was able to bring a few things together. I agree. I mean,
Look, I was reading something today about his time in Cleveland and when he got released, and there were a lot of people that were a little bit baffled on why they released him.
Yeah.
Based on the situation there and the job he was doing.
Yeah, because they had done. They had remained productive offensively with 4 or 5 quarterbacks during the course of the year. Now, what a lot of people, and I was one that was very strongly on Van Pelt's side, but I didn't realize, how little he had to do with the play calling and all that stuff. From afar, you don't know the ins and outs like that. Stefanski was calling the plays, but yeah, you're right. A lot of people in Cleveland were like, he wasn't the problem. What are we doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So he talked. Paul and I mentioned a little bit. He came out definitively and said that May will be playing. He will start.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean he's going to play the whole game, but
do you think he should play, Mike?
May.
We had a quick 5 minutes.
I think if
I
I was doing it, I would start him. I'd play him a couple series, and then I'd put Joe Milton in. And I want to give him this week of prep. I think he needs to play. I think the value of going against Buffalo, even if it's backups again. I just
doesn't it sound like that's
going
to be like the way they said that Milton got some reps this week?
Yeah, and they asked
yesterday.
they asked. I think Andrew Callahan asked, did he get any reps, and Alex confirmed today that he did. And then Kendrick Bourne was also asked a little bit about Joe Milton, and he kind of seemed to confirm that he got some reps yesterday. And a lot of these, Kendrick very high on Milton, just the attitude that he brings, and he's obviously been behind the scenes this year. But I think everybody'd like to just, it's kind of fun watching that guy chuck that ball down the field. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Hell yeah.
Anything from Covington that raised your eyebrows?
No, not really. And maybe that's the bad thing. But I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of, settling in, saying the same things every week of, we just got to play better. I do think he came out pretty, with support for Keon White. I was a little surprised talking about, he's been over my house at Christmas. Because, for me, it was hard not to hear some of what Keon was saying and feel kind of like it was aimed at how I'm being used and, how what they're making me do. And, I think some of those arguments that Keon might have been making that we all could have pushed back a little bit and said, well, Keon, maybe you got to do what's right for the team in this situation. It's not just about, unleashing you and letting you go get the quarterback. And I think that's the growth process of a young player too. But we'll see. We'll see with Covington. He's been pretty consistent all year. I think Paul and I both felt like one of the press conferences he seemed to lack his swag a little bit, but otherwise he has been consistent. Even though I guess the results have been pretty consistent too, in a bad way. But it's hard. It's just you find yourself sitting there wondering. This is a first-year coach, and we knew there were going to be some ups and downs, but you're weighing, how bad was it really, and is it going to get? Do you really believe it can get better if these guys are, given more opportunities?
Eric in Maryland says, this is a true story. I had to get new tires yesterday, and instead of waiting at the Firestone shop, I decided to walk about a mile to a nearby food court for lunch. Unfortunately, the last thing I heard on my car radio before the walk was that damn jingle from Cars for Kids. That jingle makes me want to repeatedly beat my skull against a concrete wall to get that earthworm out of my head. Luckily, I remembered Mike's song and forced myself to sing it. In a matter of moments, Cars for Kids was no longer in my head, replaced by the soothing melodies of Mike's adventures with Derrick Henry. That song saved my sanity. There you go.
1-877
It doesn't
Cars
matter
for
how
Kids.
long you go without hearing the Cars for Kids jingle.
Oh,
If
man.
you think of it once, you're screwed.
It's with a K.
It's stuck in your head.
K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. I donated a car to Cars for Kids,
Really?
probably because of that jingle. Like my OG Blazer that I drove from '91 to 2004. Went to Cars for Kids.
And they also
Yeah.
say donate wrong.
Donate your
they say
car
donate
today.
your car
Donate.
today.
They do.
That song's back in a lot of people's heads now. I'm sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
All right. 855-PATS-500 is the TPX hotline. We got to hurry because we got picks
Oh,
today.
jeez, that's right.
Was it just a preview? A good week? Or
Oh,
bad?
it was another very strong
Another
week.
very strong
What about
week.
for Evan? Did he falter at all?
No, he
Damn.
didn't have the
Crap.
best week, though.
No, all right, good.
There was a three-way tie at the top, and he was not among it.
Okay.
But he
Ooh.
was like one game back.
He's still gonna do
Not
such
enough.
an annoying victory lap.
He's
Not
going to
enough
win.
to
Yeah, he's going to win both.
He's
Wow.
gonna come in with like a trophy for
I
us.
got. I have a
Right.
chance to catch him in spread, but I don't think.
Does he have a
anybody's gonna
LinkedIn
catch him.
account?
I don't
Because
know.
if he
I
adds
know.
this that he
Let's
won the
check.
picks
He's got a
to his
badge.
LinkedIn
Check.
account, then we'll know how much it meant to
Winner
him.
of the picks.
Evan
Yeah.
Laser.
Ball knower.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Fidel,
Ball
Ball
knower.
knower of the year.
yeah.
That should be
Fidel's
his
in
title.
Tampa. What's up, Fidel?
Hey, you guys.
Hey.
I'm doing great. I actually have a funny story. I just came back from Boston. I had a great time. I was at the Chargers game. It was amazing.
Really?
Okay.
I have a funny story about what actually happened at the stadium. Beautiful stadium, by the way. Best experience I've ever had at an NFL game,
Oh, good. Where'd you sit?
aside from the game part.
Yeah.
Where'd you sit?
I sat in the 100, around the 50-yard line. I was like
Oh,
10
geez.
feet away from the Patriots bench.
Nice.
Not bad.
Well, there you go, Fidel. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I kind of accidentally found myself in Gerard Mayo's family suite.
Oh goodness.
What?
Yeah, it was by accident. It was by accident. So I like taking photography photos, so I brought my camera. It's like a small camera, but it's like a zoom lens kind of thing. So midway through the game, we were getting blown out. So I'm like, all right, let me just walk around, take photos. So I'm walking up from the 100, and I'm going to the 200 level, to the 300 level. And as I'm walking up, I see there's like a gated area, but it's not like secured or like don't get anyone fired right now. But there was no one there. But I saw a cool overlook of the stadium, so I'm like, oh. So I just walked through because there was no real like anything there, and I saw people were already there. So I walked through, started taking pictures, and the group that was there already started walking into this area. I didn't know where it was leading to. I'm like, oh, maybe it's another side of the stadium. So I'm walking with them, and I'm going through, and I accidentally wound up in that private suite area that you guys just built in the stadium like last year. I'm like, oh, wow, this is amazing. So I'm walking through. I grab a slice of prime rib. I'm watching the game. And then at this point is when Ladd McConkey scores his second touchdown, and I'm eating prime rib. I'm like, no, Fred, this should have been us. We should have gotten Ladd. And looking through the suite, and I'm having a great time. And I see this like another 2-3 levels. I'm like, oh, what's up there? So I see a group going onto the elevator, and I just naturally follow them.
All right.
And
Does anybody
as I'm
work
going
in
up,
security?
They start talking and stuff. And I'm just following them because I have nowhere else to go. And they just walk into a suite. And as I walk in, I see like, oh, I'm in someone's private suite, like a sponsor or something like that. And I look around and I start seeing people in Gerard Mayo's jerseys. And then I hear someone point out to me, oh, you have a camera, you take pictures? I go, yeah, I do. And they go, oh, can you take our pictures?
They don't have
Apparently,
phones?
It was his daughter's. No, it was my my actual camera.
No, I know, but like,
Camera
okay. Yeah, but everybody's got a
quality.
camera now. Okay.
Yeah, anyone got the camera now. So they go, yeah, they take photos. I'm like, yeah. And apparently it was his daughter's birthday.
Oh.
So I was taking photos of the entire family on my camera.
And
Oh,
did you
that's
share them with
fun.
them? Or like, did they, you know?
Yes, I did. So I grabbed one of the cousins or nephew's Instagrams, and I shared. So I have photos of their entire family on my.
Wow.
And I sent it to them on Instagram after. And then halfway through that, Rob Nikovich just shows up in a junior stay-out.
Is this a dream or did this really happen?
I have the photos. I can send them.
Okay, I don't need. Okay, I believe you. All right. Yeah.
So,
Is there a payoff for this?
I'm thinking, that was the payoff. And and that was
Okay.
a great experience. So, and then I ended up leaving the stadium. Great experience. Didn't mean to get anyone in trouble if I did. But,
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you.
We'll have to up security. Thanks, Fidel. Thanks for the tip, and I'm glad you had a good time.
At least the price of
Yeah.
his admission was worth it in the
Yeah.
flight.
No, that's a
Hang
good
out with the Mayos.
That is a cool story, but kind of weird.
I
Yeah.
mean, where's the prime rib at? I never see no prime rib.
Well,
I
that's-
just
We
I
don't
look
get
forward to I'll be arriving on Sunday, and if I'm not in the right door when I come in, I will be
Oh,
asked,
yeah.
I'll be asked
Oh,
to
God,
leave,
yeah.
and this guy evidently is just allowed to go in any
Wow.
suite.
No, it's just a credit to fake it till you make it.
Oh,
You know,
man.
if you look like you belong,
Because when he started the story, he said he ended up in the suite, but he was in the 100 level, and I'm thinking to myself, how'd you get up there?
Yeah.
That's
Because
not the same thing.
there's no direct access for even if you go to the 300, you can't just walk into the suite area. But I think what happened is he was in the GP atrium,
yeah.
and they have those. You can get access from there,
Yep.
Yeah,
and I think he hooked up, but he shouldn't even. Anyway,
Oh.
good for him. I'm
Security.
glad.
Imagine you're just like looking around and you see a kid and you're like, wow, that young boy has Gerard Mayo's face. Where
Yeah.
am I?
Oh, he's got his jerseys
Right.
too.
Jeez, I wonder what that suite was like during her birthday. I
Yeah.
hope they were having fun.
Patty's in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I finally sobered up from New Year's Eve,
Oh my.
Okay.
Oh my.
so I just kind of wanted to get into the whole coaching staff, and how I felt about it after the bye. And I listened to Tom Kern's podcast, No Offense, Freddie, with Brian Hoyer, and he was kind of making a case of bringing him back, but I don't know, man. Like after I saw what they did in Arizona, and just the compete level that they had that day, and from this past week, I don't know how you bring the guy back. And it sucks. It's unfortunate, but I think if there's, if Vrabel's really out there and you got a chance to get him, I would go and try and get him. And Freddie, what kind of triggered this for me was what you said on the post-game show, how Mayo has no network. Like, if we move on from these coordinators, who the hell are we picking? Like, who's going to come here? How many friggin' interviews are we going to have for each coordinator position?
I know. And while you're doing that,
It's a mess.
who's thinking about 2025? Right. No, I hear you.
So I think if he's there and you got a chance to get him, I would just say, go through the process, do what you didn't do this last cycle. Come interview some candidates, and if he's the one that you want to land on. Because I'm sorry, like, I love Gerard as a player. I was really excited to see what he could do this year, but after the bye, he lost me. And I'm sure there's a lot of other fans out there like me. That's all I got, guys.
No, thanks. Listen, I have to be honest. I see the emails, and usually, we've had these type of debates before. Not really getting rid of coaches, but I think we might have had. Remember, we did the polls in the past. I forget what the subject matter was, but it was important stuff. It was
Yeah, like I don't know if we would have done something like that.
No, but it was
But,
it
yeah.
was like half and half. But all the emails I'm getting right now are move on.
I mean, we talked about the like the radio station, like NBC Sports Boston had one about a month ago. EEI had one last week. It's like 90-something
I
to
know.
single digits.
I know.
Move on.
Yeah.
Blow it up.
think-
However you want to classify
It's
it.
the hard thing too is he has just no previous experience. So I think even with somebody like Alex Van Pelt, you can at least look to some of the things he's done in the past and say there is evidence before that he's pulled performances out of people, and so there's just Gerard had a really hard task this year, and not only jumping into a head coaching position, but proving to everybody that he has some promise as a coach in charge of people, which he's never done before.
But what I have a hard time with is when I get asked the question, and I got asked this morning by somebody, what would you do? I have a hard time answering it, factually, because I don't have the facts. We've talked about this before. I don't know how good these coaches are, really. We know the product that they're putting out there, but is it the product of the roster, bad coaching, both?
Yeah.
We're not at the practices. We're not in the meeting rooms. We don't know the communication. And I was saying, like, if I was an owner, and I know, like, people will laugh at this, but when I'm sitting in my suite watching the game, I would have, like, a box underneath my seat with a wireless connection to a little headset, and I would listen to everything going on game day. I wouldn't be able to talk, have any input, but I'd want to hear all the communication that's happening on game day. Because if I'm the ultimate person that's making this decision as an owner, I need the information.
Yeah.
I can't sit down with Gerard Mayo and say, Gerard, do you think you should stay? I mean, what's he going to say? Alex Van Pelt, do you think you should stay? Elliot Wolf, do you think you did a good job? So I need to get some honest information. I don't have it. So it's hard for me to say, yeah, blow it up, like a lot of fans do, which I don't blame them. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to say that, but it's just when you really sit down and you're the person who has to make that decision, you have to do it with information.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. That's why it's difficult. Plus, we're dealing with human beings. I don't cavalierly say, fire this guy.
Right.
Well, that's really true.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt comfortable doing that. Now, if you ask me what I think, I'm going to tell you what I think. But
yeah,
it doesn't. We were talking about this today. There's a local media member who didn't have his contract renewed, and you'd have thought, like, based on the comments of like these fans and whatnot, it was like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the greatest day ever. This guy, a guy who's out of a job.
Right. It's a human being.
I don't know why it's such a cause for celebration.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we lose sight of that when we talk about this guy's got to go, that guy should be fired. Yeah. Yes, I think, you can make an argument like Fred said. I understand why the fans are thinking what they are, and there's been a lot of things that I've questioned during the course of the season. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to revel in, like Bill Belichick losing his job last year. Like, that's not a cause for a celebration. I thought it was time that he should go. We talked about it a lot of, toward the end of last year. I would have moved on. I think they made the right choice. Doesn't mean that you have to be excited about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to Dave in Tennessee. What's up, Dave? Hey, Dave.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
I just think it was his first time in this position. He had no one to hold his hand. He's got to get experience somehow. And, that's what your first year is for. You had no talent to work with. And it's like, we're just going to run this dude out of town. It's like, I thought Matt Patricia was going to be a good OC.
I was with you.
Oh, you were a cast of two.
Yeah. No, Dave,
Fred.
I was with you.
It's like, we said stuff about Matt Patricia, and it's like, but Gerard Mayo just gets a pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gerard Mayo, what?
I don't know what that meant. Okay.
How does Gerard Mayo get a pass?
So did he do a curveball on us at the end?
I don't know.
Like we
It's
were
hard to tell. It sounded like he kind of broke
like
up.
we
in
wanted
service.
to get rid of Patricia, but
Yeah, and my thing about Patricia was that I just never felt like he had any expertise on the offensive side of the ball. Like, if you wanted to put him back in a role on defense, fine.
yeah.
But I just didn't understand the move to make him an offensive coordinator. That makes that a little bit different.
Yeah. Let's see. Jordan is in London. Hey, Jordan.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we can.
This is the BBC.
I have a theory on Easter eggs I want to run past you guys. I think every truly great quarterback has to have the it factor. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow have it. Herbert, Goff don't, as an example.
I can hear you, but I don't understand you.
May has the it factor.
Is that? Oh.
Okay. We didn't quite catch
I heard
that.
all the names of the quarterbacks.
Are you
but
on
what was it
speaker,
in
Jordan?
relationship to? That's what it sounds
I
like.
am sorry, I'm driving.
Oh, it's
Oh,
okay.
you're driving.
Did you ever see?
Pay attention. You guys drive on the wrong side over there. You need to pay attention.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Are you by Harrods? Can you pick me up some tea?
Unfortunately not, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jordan. We're
having a hard time
Yeah.
understanding you because of the speaker issue, I think.
You're cutting in and out.
I
but
think.
Good to hear from our friends in London, some of our best fans ever.
Yeah.
When you're not driving, email us what you said.
Yeah. You can do voice. Voice
Yeah,
to
talk to
text.
text.
Voice to
Yeah.
text. Voice to text.
There you go.
Scott in San Diego writes in at podcast@patriots.com. Thanks for the much-needed football therapy this season. I even enjoyed the circuitous Paul Fred, what are we arguing about arguments? I see that ESPN's Bill Barnwell picked Gonzo as one of the top 3 cornerbacks in the NFL. That seems right to me. But he wasn't picked for the Pro Bowl. Do you think he deserves to be selected? Absolutely.
Yeah, he does. But I mean,
Now, who got selected from the AFC?
Nobody from Miami.
Nobody from the Jets.
Nobody from the Jets.
Marlon Humphrey, Patrick Surtain,
What?
Denzel Ward.
Ward, yeah, that's the one.
And I can't think of what the other one.
Okay.
The
all
one
all deserving.
I would have put Gonzalez over Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey's a terrific player, but I don't think he's had a great year.
It feels like the Pro Bowl usually.
Like Surtain, I think, is arguably better than Gonzalez. Denzel Ward, I think, has been hurt too. Like I like him as a player, but he seems like he's in and out of the
I think
lineup.
with young players, Pro Bowl's a year behind. Like you have your breakout year, like kind of almost like Schooler last year. You know, like kind of had that pump block last year, like kind of made a name for himself a little bit, and then fans get to recognize you, and then the rest of the league too. And I'm sure I bet you Gonzo makes it next year. He definitely deserves it.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think it's what you did the year before, because the Pro Bowl voting, when do they have it?
Oh, yeah. So, it starts like middle of the season. So, it's like.
Yeah. How much are you paying attention to like every other player in the league while the season's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he'll get in next year.
Yeah.
Along with Travis Hunter. Fred.
Sauce Gardner didn't get in, and maybe he bounces back, and it's another guy in your way.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good year.
That's true. Fred, which team would you want to win the Super Bowl between the Bengals, Bills, or Jets? You have to choose one.
Bills,
No
Jets.
NFC picks. That's a tough one.
I got Bills.
That's a tough one.
I have Bills.
Who would I pick?
It's an easy one for me.
Yeah.
It would be the Bills.
Yep.
Mine would be the Jets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you used to like them, right?
Yeah. I just can't. I can't stomach.
They would be third on my list.
Yeah. I can't stomach the Bengals winning, and the Bills, like I said, it would be against
Jets
nature for them to win.
Jets would be third. I mean, I get the Cincy thing. I do really like.
Yeah, the
Burrow,
Jets are
though.
such a sorry franchise now.
The
It's
Cincy
like,
thing is a
who
personal
cares?
thing, so I get that.
Yeah.
But Buffalo,
I just think Buffalo would be cool. Like
just
to
nothing but
see-
misery.
Yeah, and those people.
Well,
like,
that's the thing. But now, if they win, now they can say, "Yeah, we won."
So what?
Up until now, we can say, "What have you won?" And I want to be able to
kind of
keep
equate
saying
that to rooting for people to get fired.
I'm
so miserable.
I
about
need
it.
to keep that card in my deck. I need to keep that card in my deck.
I hear you.
can't lose it.
I need to keep that card in my deck.
Boom. Still no Super Bowl. Shut up.
Question for the group. Who do we like for defensive coordinator? I'm sure we will move from Covington after the season. Would you like to see the Crafts bring back Brian Flores?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't think that would happen, but sure, yeah. I mean,
He's like, I don't ever rule these things out, but Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator for one of the very best teams in football.
Right.
Why would he want to come to be the defensive coordinator for one of the very worst teams in football?
I mean, I think everybody wants to talk about if Mayo were to go. I mean, it's pretty much what Vrabel and the Lions guy. I mean, right? Like that's it, right? Who else have you heard mentioned as like a potential to fill the job
for head coach?
Yeah.
Oh, like you know,
Flores might be in that mix if you start going down
now,
the.
Flores, I'm now going to talk about. Now he wouldn't be my choice because I don't think he did nearly as good a job with the Dolphins as people think he did, and I think he was terrible with a young quarterback.
Yep.
Now maybe he's learned. Maybe a lot of guys are much better the second time around. Maybe you'd have a better relationship with the young quarterback. But I've heard him. I've heard Vrabel. I've heard Ben Johnson.
That's kind of it, though, right? Like, there's no one else that people really clamor for.
I think that a lot
right
of
now.
people, in terms of clamoring, because you want the offensive guy, and right now, would you be interested in Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah, right.
Did a great job in Washington in year one with a young quarterback. With, I think most people didn't feel like he did a great job. With Arizona.
Yeah.
Brandon in Maine writes in, as much as AVP has struggled at times to develop and improve the Patriots offense, really how much better are they than the Matt Patricia year? I would bring him back for one more year. My reasoning, he has the least amount of talent to work with in the NFL. We have the worst offensive line for running or passing by block win rate, I believe, and the wide receiver room is filled with children, as evidenced by their continued comments to media or on social media, and Kendrick Bourne still can't even line up properly. Drake May has grown and developed, which was the most important thing to happen for the team and franchise. He deserves credit for that. Lastly, it feels like he's the only coach who has truly held himself accountable. His media sessions actually sound like a professional football coach, unlike the other top two coaches on the team. He's the professional adult in the room, where it feels like that presence has been missing everywhere else. If there is any one of the three top coaches that I do believe has the chance to grow and improve next year, it's him, and also deserves the chance to grow and improve in year two. And that is without considering the improvement that hopefully takes place with an infusion of talent on that side of the ball. So there's the
I mean,
Brandon's case to keep AVP.
Good email.
Hard to disagree.
I just think that if they make AVP the one to walk the plank, and like that is not going to be received well by a large majority of the people who follow
And
this
it
team.
shouldn't be like how if we see him, the one out of everyone to get scapegoated, that gives me major questions about what's going on with the
I feel like if you
organization.
want to make changes, that makes sense. I don't think that's changes. That's just like, like
Shuffling.
exactly the word that Alex just used. It feels like a scapegoat to me.
Yeah. And that point about the receiver room being all children, I think that's a great point that maybe people haven't looked, I don't know, I think it's been looked over a little, but just like the lack of like veteran presence on the off season. Losing David Andrews this season was huge. The wide receiver room, when Kendrick Bourne is your veteran, we love Kendrick, but like there's just like a little something missing there, and they're so young. The resolve just hasn't been there, and those, it's really the tight end room. You have those two guys that are veterans that have been in the league a long time, and I think that's why the tight end room is so solid, and we just didn't have that with the receiver room.
Yeah, Bourne had one today. They were asking me, what do you want to work on the off season? And so in my brain, I'm like, just being mentally on it and knowing the playbook and stuff. He's like, catching more deep balls. It's a little hard to practice in the off season because you don't have the quarterback, but tracking the ball and that's what he wanted to work on. So that's what it was.
What did you think of the Penn State quarterback?
So now this is an interesting one for the previous email before Mike got here about the class.
Yeah.
A lot of people think he would be a top 10 pick, but he has already said he's going back to Penn State.
Yeah.
A lot of the quote-unquote experts think that there's still room for him to change his mind.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a binding agreement, that
Yeah.
he can't change his mind and make himself eligible for the draft. I don't love him, but
he's got an arm.
Like these guys talk about him like he would be a top 10 pick, and that would help the Patriots. That would put three guys in the mix. And
is there tight end in the draft?
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
44.
Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
He's so there's a good example, Fred. You can have Scatterboo in the back of your envelope. Tyler Warren is considered to be an excellent player, and he's unbelievably versatile. He's like he's played quarterback.
He's got Gronk size.
He's snapped the ball on a touchdown catch. He's actually snapped the ball on a play. He does a lot of different things for that team. He's a good player.
Yeah. Dan and Everett, you know Dan?
I know some Dans in Everett,
Okay.
There's a lot of Dans.
In regards to the draft, given all the needs this team has, my opinion of who I want to draft probably changes daily. Today, I'm leaning towards edge. My understanding is that Abdul Carter is the top-rated prospect. Does he have the potential to be a game wrecker at the position? I love the idea of trying to get out to early leads to force teams into throwing more so that the pass rush can tee off. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to really play this week. Yesterday because he got hurt, or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
He didn't play the game. But I guess up until the point he got hurt, he was killing.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
I mean, following Evan on Twitter, it seems like Evan's come around on him a little bit over the last couple of days. But, I mean, I just, you got to acknowledge the need at edge. And I think, we talked about it on the show on Tuesday. It's a huge need. Like, I mean, you talk about the key positions. They looks like they got quarterback and cornerback for now to, like, kind of start with left tackle, wide receiver, defensive end, a legit pass rusher, somebody off the edge. And I mean, I don't know if he's the 3-down guy, but he moves like crazy. I mean, he's just a super athlete, super explosive. I mean, he's a problem for anybody. And you just hope as like a former off the ball guy that, he can round his game out and can bring, but I mean, it's the game's won on third down. So I think there's something definitely to consider with him.
Let's see. Who is this? Ed writes in from Tallahassee. Where do the Patriots begin to create an identity? Is it a defensive ID or an offensive ID? The most ominous thing that happened in 2024 is that the Patriots D has regressed. We don't challenge either on the road or at home. For 2025, I think we first have to lean into building a defense that can compete in the AFC East. And that is as good a reason to draft Travis Hunter #1 as any.
Yeah.
Can't argue.
Sign out.
I've exhausted my thoughts on the defense.
I mean,
the regression of the defense.
If you had to rate 2024 biggest surprise with the Patriots, wouldn't the regression of the defense be one of them?
I would say more of the collapse of the defense of just
or whatever
to the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
I mean,
that it was that bad.
I'm sure. We can debate how good or bad they were. Maybe you say they're middle. Even if you said they were middle of the league, they're the worst defense in the league this year. I mean, they are bottom at everything.
Maybe run defense in particular. Yeah. I mean. But if you also had said that, Barmore and Judon are not going to be part of it, I think people just sort of overlooked that.
Yeah.
Like, the best player on defense because he didn't play the last 12 games last year. You know, you trade him. I think it's different than losing a guy from injury, and trading him before the season, I think. And I think it was a good trade. I'm not criticizing the move. It's probably the best move Elliott Wolf has made.
Yeah.
Is that trade. You're getting a third-round pick for a 30-whatever-year-old edge rusher, I think is a good, solid trade.
Yep.
Especially when they lose the two guys you talk are such an important element of the defense. I mean, the pass rush. Like, you want to talk about, we lost, Godshaw, let's just say. Like, we hope you can figure out a way to stop the run.
To Mike's point, going from the middle of the pack to the bottom of the pack, I mean, that's probably, surprising. I have to be honest. Like, to me, it's mildly surprising.
Okay.
They played pretty much all teams that can play this year as opposed to half teams.
So what would your biggest
like
surprise?
Offensively, like the quarterbacks I'm talking about, not necessarily the.
What would your biggest surprise of 2024
I don't
be?
know if I was terribly surprised. Maybe the fact that Drake May was able to play the rest of the game. I figured for sure, like, young quarterbacks going to get hit a lot, probably going to miss time. Maybe that.
I mean, surprise? I'm not trying to think. I mean,
it sounds terribly negative.
To me,
I'm not
defense.
overly surprised by anything. And Fred, I thought, illustrated this in the post-game show after the Chargers game when you said, I don't know what people were expecting today.
Yeah. I think with the Patriots, other than the defense collapse, I think I was most surprised at the off-field performance of Gerard. Like Paul just said, I didn't think the team was going to be good.
Yeah.
I that doesn't bother me. But I was surprised that off-field he was as
and how it didn't really change. It never really seemed to improve and get better, both on and off the field. Maybe that part of it. Even, like we've talked about Carolina a lot this year. People have talked incessantly about year one of the Dan Campbell era in Detroit. We didn't see that here. Like most bad teams tend to say, okay, we're bad, but we're going to get better, and we're going to show you some signs that it's not always going to be gloom and doom. We didn't get those. Maybe that's the biggest surprise.
I just think, too, for me, defensively, looking at the coaches they kept, and Mayo being a defensive guy, and Covington being a guy who's been around, like, I kind of bought into what they told me this summer, which, when Judon left, and they said, well, we've had years without pass rushers, and we've been able to kind of scheme around it, and, it's probably on me for buying that, but I just didn't see. That was the one thing you were kind of hoping and you had to count on, was that you've got some continuity with the defense and that they're going to at least be solid.
But we did say in the offseason, don't underestimate the loss of Bill Belichick and Steve Belichick.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, that there has to be a drop-off. I just didn't think it would be so severe.
That's the thing that surprised everyone. And just like that defensive group had been together for a while with Judon and then even Lawrence Guy, who they caught at the end of last year, like, who's not a huge piece, but when you put it all together in a whole,
you put it all together, you expected him to come back, but you lose Barmore, you lose Bentley up the middle.
And then you have this staff that's a lot of Bill guys kind of still remaining, so it's still you still have those shades of Bill without just that huge gap that you have to make up for in, like, just institutional knowledge of the NFL, the organization that Steve also accumulated over an entire lifetime.
So this is the part when we talk about who should stay and who should go, that you say all these things. Well, they had all these losses and all that stuff. So are we able to fairly judge DeMarcus Covington based on just what we see on Sunday?
See, I'm not judging any of the coaches on the actual performance. I'm judging the coaches on the level of preparation, the level of adjustments, the level of improvement, and I just didn't see it enough of it on both sides of the ball.
No,
that's what I'm talking about. Like, to your point that we keep getting back to, I think the Vegas over/under was 4.5.
It was.
So I don't know how anyone can sit here and be up in arms that they only have 3 wins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that everything was great in terms of the coaches. Like, just because you don't have any talent doesn't mean you can't do things to scheme it up and play better than your talent. And I didn't see that.
No, that's totally apt. And, I think that's what I said on one of the other shows was, like, there is a mental shift for me for thinking, like, well, maybe they can win 6 to they're winning 3. And how did he get to 3?
Well, I can pretty much identify the time, because there were days that Mike was when you guys were on the road and I'm left to pick up the pieces by myself.
Like, don't do it, Mike. Don't do it.
There are some dark days for Deuce.
As one emailer said on Tuesday, a lot of that was a great
feel like,
email.
yeah.
It's
been bad. Bad.
You watch,
Down bad deuce.
You think they got to do something with the draft eligibility rule there? You know, like have like Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, who would be starting for how many teams?
Right.
Yeah.
If they were eligible for
Oh,
this
the
draft.
Williams kid, is that the 17-year-old?
Yeah, he's at Alabama.
Right.
Jeremiah Smith just absolutely
he's
dominated the game
insane.
yesterday.
Yeah.
He just turned 19. But they're not eligible for the draft.
He'd be
They'd
Patriots'
start.
best receiver
Oh
right
my
now.
God, they'd start for half the teams.
Yeah.
So, you talk about that in going back to this Penn State quarterback, maybe when, the business decision is to declare for the draft, because you can say, oh, he's going to stay in because he's going to make a boatload with NIL. But if there's a year to be the quarterback, this might
Right.
be the year.
Right. Something to consider. I mean, I've only seen a little bit of him, but it seems like, Paul, you probably watch more of him, but it seemed like he's pretty efficient and pretty safe with the ball generally. That seems
And
like what is.
I think he's got a great arm.
Who are we talking
Aller,
about?
is
I
that
don't
what you
like
said?
Aller at all.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul doesn't like
I don't. I think that.
No, to be honest, that's why I say it, because
Watch what happens when he plays teams with a
yeah,
pulse.
that's why I said I thought he doesn't seem like
go
your
watch
kinda
the
guy.
Ohio State game.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll trust you.
Noted.
Mick in Kirkland, in Cork, Ireland, writes in, speaking of which, he says, first, Happy New Year. I hope you all enjoyed the holiday season, bar a certain Saturday game. Speaking of which, I always felt Mayo deserved a second year, as I had fully expected this season to be poor and had not expected a good record. Similar to you, I felt 4 to 6 wins was the best possible. However, this season has turned out to be worse than expected, and I feel that there is no other choice but to move on from Mayo. If Mike Vrabel is willing, then let's go. The biggest disappointment is that there has been zero improvement anywhere across the team. Defense has regressed to being no more than a glorified speed bump for good teams, and the offense rarely sustains drives and are easy to defend. I believe a new start is required, and in my opinion, the only thing worse for Drake May's development in getting rid of a coach in his first season is getting rid of a coach in his second season, and thus impacting 2 years of his development.
It's been an interesting lesson. Like, I think I've said it before in the show, like, I always felt like some of the AFC East teams maybe were a little bit too quick to pull the trigger on some of their coach-quarterback combinations. Over the 20 years, the Patriots were just whacking everybody. But now being on this side of it, you realize how hard it is. How hard it is to have a bad season and then try to sell your fan base and the media on why you're going to keep the guy around. Even if you are taking a patient approach, it's just you feel the pressure. I've said it a few times. It's like every week you lose, it gets harder and worse, and the bad energy just continues to mount. And then you win like that one game, and it's like, oh my God, thank God we won a game. Like for a week, we get a little bit of reprieve from this, but it's really hard. And I think I understand things a little bit better from those other teams' perspective on why it's like, all right, we got to move. Rex Ryan, yeah, he had us close for a couple years, but we can't do this anymore. We got to move on. So it's new perspective for sure being on this side of it.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, more calls and emails. Evan will be back. We'll hear what he has to say from practice, and then we'll get into picks right after this.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
Good morning. And Happy New Year. Before I start, I just found out, what's going on in the city of New Orleans. Just want to make sure that, offer condolences to all those that are affected. Obviously, it's a very unfortunate thing that happened. Kind of puts things in perspective, lives being changed like that. And just want them to know that both me, the team, and the organization definitely offer our heartfelt condolences. All right. So, this game, look, it's the last game of the season, and My message to the guys was, look, we want to finish off the season strong, and try to build some momentum going into the offseason. I would say, the guys they're ready to go. They're ready to go. We'll see how practice goes today. Obviously, I'm sure the question will come up, do you want to see certain players? Like, absolutely. And I would say if players are healthy, they'll be ready to go. Now, as far as, how much they play, how much they don't, I've never been a part of a team as a player or as a coach going into a game not wanting to win, and it's not going to change today. So that's my message to the team.
Rob, what can you tell us about the condition of Drake, and also do you expect him to start on Sunday?
You're going to talk to Drake here in a second. Drake's healthy. He'll be at practice today, and we'll see how it goes this week.
You had another guy who had left the game on Saturday with a concussion issue with Gonzalez. Any update?
He's still in the protocol, so I don't want to get too far down that line.
Gerard, when you say we'll see how it goes this week, referring to Drake, what factors will be at play when deciding whether he starts Sunday?
Yeah, my thing, if you talk to Drake, which you will hear soon, look, he's a competitor. He wants to play. And look, he's still developing, so he'll be ready to go.
So if he wants to play, will he start?
Drake is our starting quarterback. If he's healthy and ready to go as we go through this week of practice, then he'll play.
Gerard, you said that you want to make sure that you're winning the game, but also mentioned earlier that you want young players to get opportunities. How much of an opportunity is this game to get those guys more chances?
Yeah, we'll have to see how the game goes. So.
Yesterday, you guys waived Yannick. What went into that decision?
Yeah, just trying to give a veteran player what you've seen over, it's not just Yannick, but give him an opportunity to catch on with a team that will be in the postseason.
About
and I'll just say this about Jan. He did a great job. He was great in the meeting rooms. He was, great out there in the practice field. A veteran that brought a lot to the table, and wish him nothing but the best.
What about Gerard, for a guy like Drake? You've made it this far in the season. There's only one game left. What about the risk of injury now with just this one game?
Yeah, I mean that's any position. I know oftentimes we focus on the quarterback spot, but that's part of playing football.
Is that a concern? Sort of saying to the team, if you would sit him over here. He's more important than everyone else.
The team, everyone that's healthy will be ready to play and are expected to play.
I think it was Monday you addressed you got the show, maybe getting some time.
Yeah.
What's the level of faith there with him? I know you know which chapter you went with Kobe, but specific to Joe, is this possible?
I would say it's still all up in the air. All three quarterbacks, as we've carried two, and the emergency quarterback will be ready to go.
What have you seen from Joe since he got in the building in April, early May to where he is now?
Yeah, just, I think, his ability to read coverages has definitely improved. Look, he has all the physical tools. I would say the command of the huddle has also improved, and he's done a good job on the show teams throughout the week. So,
You talked about laying a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Which portions of the foundation do you feel are most solidly laid so far in terms of from last January to a year later?
yeah, I'm not going to get into the different position groups, but I would think that we all.
I mean, franchise-wide, culture-wide, locker room-wide.
Yeah. Going back to, look, these guys have come in here every week, and I know our record is what it is, but they come in here every single week during a hard season, ready to work, going out there trying to get better. And I think that's huge. That's part of it.
Gerard, what have you learned about Drake to this point, and what more could you learn?
I feel like we talk about this often. I would just say his ability to change the page and learn from his mistakes.
Any reflections on this being the last week of the season and just what this journey has been like for you so far?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember where you are in the journey, and and no one's happy with our record or anything like that, but understanding where you are in the journey is definitely important.
How much better a coach are you today than you were at the time as you go and build this process?
Yeah, for me, first year doing anything, there are going to be growing pains and things like that, and you have to learn from those mistakes and move forward and do the things that you did well early in the season and carry them over to the next season.
You mentioned Stan Campbell before when talking about the lumps you expected to take in your first year. What stands out to you about how he was able to turn things around?
Well, it takes time, but I would say, you look at those guys now, both from a roster and a coaching perspective, like from his first year to his second year to his third year, all those things, there was change. And, he got it nailed down, and those guys are playing well. And I would, there are other examples about that, other examples, but, right now I'm focused on the Bills for the most part, and that's what we're going to do.
You said earlier that we'll have to see how the week goes before you make any decisions about quarterbacks. What will have to happen during the week to
to change anything from what you've done in the past?
I mean, it's been this way the whole year. You know, you go out there and have a good week of practice. We're always competing, and you have an opportunity in the game. And it's not about how many snaps you play in the game. To me, it's the value and the quality of those snaps that are the most important thing as we evaluate.
What have you learned about yourself this year?
You're being serious. This is the same question. You know, just being resilient. You know, just trying to be resilient. It hasn't gone the way that any of us have wanted it to go, and it's a huge piece of it. You know, Steve Jobs, I think, you know, he had a quote where you have winning seasons or winning years, and then you have character building years, and this has been one of those character building years that I'll always remember.
And you said on Saturday that you hear the fans and some of the chants. Does that affect you?
No, you know, for me, it's all about the guys in the locker room, and it's all, look, they're disappointed in the record. I understand that, and look, even with you guys in the media, I understand what your job is, and that's okay. My thing is, it's always about the team, and it's about winning football games.
Are you concerned or worried about that this could be your last game on Sunday?
No, for me, it's all about just focusing on the Bills trying to win that game.
How much work have you had to do on the Bills, considering you played them just 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, look, you always want to prepare as if it's the first time you played them. Like, we know those guys, and, you know, you go back and look at that game, the first half versus the second half, and, you know, we were in it for quite some time until the second half. It got out of control. So definitely still doing all of our homework. We're still game planning, approaching it like a normal week.
Gerard, over the last couple of days, have Elliott or anyone in ownership had any input on the approach when it comes to who will play Sunday?
I'm in constant communication with Elliott. I'm in constant communication with ownership. And again, I've never been a part of a team as a player or a coach where we haven't gone out there and tried to win the game. So those conversations haven't happened.
When you're assessing, trying to figure out why things are going wrong, how do you parse through what's the result of coaching, player execution, talent?
Yeah, that's part of it. Like, you have to evaluate everything. You have to evaluate the different processes throughout the week. You have to evaluate the coaches. I have to evaluate myself and have others evaluate me. Everyone's under. Look, when you have a season like this, you got to evaluate everything. All right, appreciate it. Happy New Year.
And now, great moments in history.
And Steve wants to know, why, Eric, do you hate emailers?
Why does he hate everybody?
He's very.
I don't hate emailers
today too. I
hate bad emailers.
See,
doesn't like the weather.
Yep.
See,
it's raining. Raining makes Eric a sad boy.
I have to admit,
No,
the fact that I had to
sad
put
boy.
jeans on this morning really got me mad.
Yep.
It's like August and I'm wearing long pants,
staring at the khaki shorts.
It's
Sorry,
pantalones.
guys, not today.
It's a good thing I wore them too. It was cold.
And Paul wears mom jeans, by the way.
Well, my jeans are like
Old
so
school.
They're
Old
so
school.
old,
Yeah.
and they're so worn out.
Acid washed, ripped
Yeah.
jeans.
They're not
like
even
the
acid.
80s.
They're not even acid washed. They just look it.
They're
'cause
like
they've been
bell
washing
bottoms.
You don't have like
Yeah.
the
They're
tight
not
like.
bell bottoms.
They're like,
Shut
they're
up.
like bell bottoms.
Shut up.
I thought he was gonna wear like tight tapered
Platform
jeans.
shoes.
That would be.
No,
a
I
little-
don't do the Euro jeans.
Got to grease
For
the
ob-
legs to get in.
for obvious reasons.
That's another great moment from
Mark and Cheddar writes in, given Fred's view on try-hard guys and wanting them on the team, how on earth did Eric survive for so long working as part of Fred's empire? That's a good question. He wouldn't and couldn't run through a tissue paper wall, let alone a real one. So, Eric, that's just thought I'd say that. Let's get right into it. No. Somebody's back.
Has returned from practice.
Oh, last one of the year for you too.
Absolute great fun. What was the mood? Who wasn't there? What did he see?
All right, Eric, you're back.
Evan. I'm having some teary-eyed moments here.
Is that on purpose or not?
No, it's just
He does it every once in a while.
It's just
okay.
Fred. Do I call you Eric every once in a while?
Like once every 3 weeks.
Okay.
That was the original song.
More than I
Eric
thought.
was back from practice.
You need to correct me.
I understand that you know my name.
The
It's okay.
tainted pastrami talking over here.
This is sad. Thanks for making me sad, though, Deuce. That this is the last time I will return to practice.
Yeah,
or from practice of the year. So that's upsetting. Anyways, Keyshawn Boutte returned to practice. He was back today with that illness, so he looks like he'll be all right. And Christian Gonzalez, Ben Brown, and Jalen Polk remain absent. So Polk is with the shoulder, and then Gonzalez and Brown are both in concussion protocol. So looking like another Cole Strange game, and I would say looking like no Gonzo for the finale on Sunday.
Yeah. And was there any noticeable splint, wrap, on Drake May's right throwing hand?
There was not, and we got a pretty good look at it based off of where we were at practice, and they were doing a drill trying to throw the ball out quickly to the screen outside on the perimeter, and they were doing it pretty sleight of hand type of stuff, and he looked fine.
Okay.
So.
Was there a hand injury I missed? Is something?
He had a finger injury.
He's got a finger.
On
Yeah,
the
yeah.
throwing hand.
It's technically a hand on the injury report, but rap sheet said finger
Oh,
specifically.
I didn't see that report. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole reason why I went into today thinking, well, maybe he won't play.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see, what else is going on there? It's very windy out there.
It was very windy.
And do we think it's going to be windy on game day? So is this something that they could, practice in and use to their advantage?
It's a good point.
Cool.
Yeah.
The reason to play Drake May?
It was incredibly windy out there. And I just find it to be very windy back there where the practice fields are in general.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like once the weather turns to winter, it's always like a wind tunnel back there. And I don't know about the weather on Sunday. I did not check, but it was definitely a weather-impacted practice out there today.
Goalposts moving, the whole thing.
Yeah, it was
kind
gusty.
of like arguing with you.
Yeah.
Goalposts moving.
Old Paul.
See,
Old Paul.
that's
Come
old,
on.
That's old
Stay
me.
on, right.
That's old me.
It's all
Sorry.
right.
That was just a snarky little comment.
People
that
like
wasn't
that.
an argument.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
What happened when I was gone?
Oh, a few things.
That was his ins and outs. One of my outs is I'm no longer going to get in petty arguments with Fred.
Oh, no, that's never happened.
right.
It's been going on for
We're
20
looking at
years.
30 degrees.
Yeah, it looks like it's
for
going to be
Sunday.
cold, but not overly gusty
Partly
like
sunny.
it is today.
Yeah, so I mean, it was warm and rainy, and then the wind started and it blew in this cold air from the north.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to sit here for a while. I think it's going to be pretty cold on Sunday.
Yeah, but no precipitation, right?
No? Is that the word?
Correct.
I don't think so.
It looks like just cold.
I wouldn't mind if we got like a little snow. As long as it wasn't like we couldn't
Little
travel.
atmosphere.
No, I started up my snowblower. It started up fine,
But
so
like,
that means it's not going to snow.
I was talking. That's a good point. I was talking to Mike about that. Like last year, they gave like that snow game, even though this had nothing. Patriots Jets last game of the year, just playing out the string. But the snow kind of gave you a reason. It's always fun to kind of watch a snow game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, in theory.
Everybody loves a snow game.
I
They brought that
I
back.
don't love snow.
I've heard that. They've been bringing it back.
I
don't
prefer
like
a snow
snow
game
games
than
for real
what we
games.
had last week. Just cold and wet.
Yeah,
I'd rather it be snow coming
I
down.
think dome
Last
football's the
Saturday?
best football.
Yeah.
So
It's
I,
like 45 degrees. What do you want?
I was cold.
so I assume no
Maybe
pads.
I need to work on my circulation.
We are definitely out.
We're done with the pads.
We're done with pads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, and how was the mood?
That was half-hearted
Yeah,
at best there, Fred.
Yeah, it was typical mood today.
Typical.
I think there's definitely a sense of last week of school. We're getting to the end.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff.
But sometimes things break down that last week of school. That's when kids get in trouble.
Yeah.
And they act up. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Better
So
not be my kid.
I'm thinking mostly of the media. How was
Oh.
the behavior among the scribes?
It was pretty normal. Not everybody was there again. I think there are some people that
Really?
have
Still celebrating New Year's?
tapped out a little bit. I think.
Once you get up there, those hangovers last a couple days.
Yeah, I think we're tapped out a little bit.
Okay. A lot of talk about Gonzo not making the Pro Bowl.
A little bit, and he's in concussion protocol, so we aren't able to talk to him currently, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, he a little bit. But I think what the general consensus that we all kind of came to was, the other guys that made it over him have a little bit more brand recognition, have been in the league a little bit longer. So he's going to have some proof of concept here before you're starting to be in the conversations with Pat Surtain and Denzel Ward and guys that have just done it for multiple years. So this feels like the foundation has been laid for him to be one of those accolades guys, and now next year if he repeats it, he'll get it.
And how many of the ball knowers will be visibly upset if the Patriots win this game?
I would say it depends on how far down they go down the draft order, obviously.
Well, they can only go down to 4.
Right, but you never know. Maybe like the Giants like pull off an upset too, or something like that.
No, but let's say they end up at will there be certain ball knowers very, very upset?
There'll definitely be certain people very, very upset, but the true ball knowers know that in this draft, like it's probably not going to make a major difference. And I understand that we all are hoping and praying that a team is going to send a package for the number 1 overall pick to draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, but it just that's not the temperature of the situation right now at the draft, and so you're probably going to end up drafting the same guy, right? Like if you're targeting Kelvin Banks, you're probably going to end up drafting them at 4 instead of at 1, and at that point, what difference does it really make?
Question for you, because we talked about it before you got here.
Yeah, the Scatterburger.
The Penn State quarterback.
Drew
if
Aller.
he declares,
Yeah.
does he go to the top of the heap?
No.
No.
He's, I would say, a early day 3 guy at best.
Really?
So people are talking about him as being a potential top 10 pick.
Jesus.
I'm not kidding. I heard a guy on yesterday. It was a guy from PFF. It was their college guy who was on EEI, and he said that there's a lot of evaluators that think if he changes his mind, he'd be a top 10 pick.
That's crazy. If he goes back to school and has a good year next year and really shows improvement, that happens. Like that, I think that there's a skill set there, absolutely. But the way that this draft is being talked about already is driving me crazy. Yeah, especially for people that it's now unfortunately more interesting to talk about the Patriots draft strategy than it is to talk about the Patriots. So it's just like everybody needs to be a draft expert because it's the more interesting story to talk about what they're going to do in the draft. And there's been some questionable takes, to say the least.
And judging from your Twitter account, I'd say you're not a Scabito fan.
Look, he had a great game yesterday. I thought it was really cool that he won MVP of the game. I thought he was the MVP of the game, so good for him. But there's some people that didn't even have him in the top 150 of this draft a week ago. Now there will be people that in the league that will love the try hardness and all that element of it. There will be, but that skill set is tough. I mean, it's one thing to run over a 19-year-old. It's another thing to run over a grown man.
But he's a big guy. He's thick. He's
a big guy.
He's 5'11", 215. And
base.
The thing that I would say about him
he looks
is
bigger than 215, but anyway.
He doesn't make anyone miss.
Correct.
So all of his, yards, it's all broken tackles, which means very short shelf life.
Yeah.
I think he's a tremendous college player. I've been talking about this guy for about 2 months.
Oh yeah?
When he played,
It's Paul's guy.
Am I wrong?
It's Paul's guy.
No,
I fell in love with him watching him against BYU. I think one night on ESPN. Happened to catch another couple of games. I've never seen a guy so consistently make people just fall by his wayside. They just bounce off of him.
Yeah.
He twists, he turns, he just gets every yard. I just think that he's racking up all these touches in college now. He doesn't get any easy yards.
Yeah.
5 years max. He's
Okay.
going to take so many hits.
My guess is that
what's Barth doing back there with this?
I'm telling you, go and watch this. Go watch watch the Big 12 championship game against Iowa State. And again, Evan's point is 1,000% right. It's 1,000% right. He's bowling over guys that are playing for Iowa State.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that, in the NFL. It just doesn't work that way. So I love watching him play. He's absolutely a tryhard, but he has a lot of ability too. And I just don't know how good he'll be in the NFL.
My guess is that he sneaks into the top 100 because of the character and because of the intangibles. Some Jim Harbaugh, somebody like that is going to just be swooning over this guy.
He's totally a Jim Harbaugh guy.
Yeah.
That's a great call.
Someone like
Great
that
call.
will be like, well, we could take this guy's more maybe physically gifted than Scatterburger, but no one's going to run through a brick wall like this kid is, right?
No one's going to yell at his lineman when they miss a block like this kid will.
Yeah.
Could
So
you play him at fullback? I mean, could you? I mean,
you could. I don't know if he's done any lead blocking.
He had to be about 230 though. to be a fullback.
But to your point, he probably, like you say, he looks.
He
that,
looks
like
bigger
that.
than 215.
I mean, that's just what he's listed as.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know that they, again, I'm on the Scatterboo thing here. Like I heard this whole thing about how last year he was considered a very selfish player, and the coaches were really on him. They said, you know what? You want more? You want to maximize your ability? You need to lose weight. You're too heavy and you're not fat. You're not quick enough. You need to get in better shape, and he did. So maybe that's the whole 215 thing, but he kind of isn't necessarily 215 anymore.
Yeah.
Scatterburger.
I just
So we're in.
I just love watching the guy play.
Yeah.
I do. I have to be
I
honest.
was saying put him on defense.
I know. Well, I mean,
why not?
Patrick Ricard all of a sudden.
He's throwing up in between plays. I mean, he's throwing.
Well,
he's throwing bombs. He's catching bombs.
I know.
I
It was
like watching him
unbelievable.
play
Conversions.
It was an unbelievable college game.
Yeah.
It was. It was unbelievably fun
It was.
to
You
watch
get
that
so
game.
caught up-
Unfortunately, it's the only one.
Yeah, you get so caught up watching these games only through the NFL lens instead of just watching like here's a great college kid player that it
And
doesn't
that's the
matter
way
that
I
he's
look
not
at it,
gonna play
Mike.
NFL
His dad's
or-
in the
I looked at it
stands.
as the purity of it. I was just watching
Love
a
of the
great.
game. Love of the game.
No, seriously, Mike just nailed it. It's like he's a great college player. Who cares if he's
Makes me sick.
But who cares if he doesn't end up being a great pro player? He's a
Yeah.
great
Good for
college
him.
player.
Yeah.
Give him
Christian
a ribbon.
Leitner.
No,
There you go.
I mean, I get the same thing with some of the high school games that I would watch, where it's just like there's a kid on the team, and you're like, this guy's awesome. And, I don't know. He's like, it's big news. He's going to go to Endicott, which is great, amazing to go play college football. But
Your school had one of the greatest of all time.
That's right, Gordy Lockbaum.
Gordy Lockbaum.
Boom, roasted.
So did you have to watch Gordy Lockbaum the whole time and say, he's never going to
gonna
make the NFL?
right? Yeah.
Who cares?
No, right.
Right.
He's just a great athlete. And
I will say, if there's a strength of this draft, it's the running back class. The running back class is absolutely loaded. So I do think that hurts him a little bit. Like if it was a weaker running back class, we might be talking about him going a little bit higher. But this running back class goes like probably 15 deep. So
Alex, what round does Scatterboo get taken in?
fourth.
He's listening.
Be objective.
Fourth.
He's objective.
Question for you, and we got to hurry.
Oh yeah.
Ashton Genty, do you
Yeah.
notice his helmet is more like a race car driver? It's got the bottom piece
like
as
that.
well.
I did not notice that, but I did.
Why am I the only one that noticed?
I did notice
I was
that
drinking.
when he played a real team, it didn't look as good as when
He only
was
had 102 yards.
Dry January
on
going
30
well.
carries.
and two fumbles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry when you're not playing, Bemidji State.
good. No,
He's a good deep dive. He used that one on me too. That's good.
Hey, oh yeah,
Bemidji
really?
State's good in hockey.
Oh, interesting. It's not East Carolina.
No, he's
At
pretty good.
12:30 on the
He was
CW.
pretty good against Oregon.
he has good moves.
So the Oregon one is the one game that everybody cites with him. But what did he do? He was great against Oregon. Well, look at how they did against Ohio State.
All right,
Anyways.
now it's time.
For real this time.
Get into our picks. Paul, what happened last week and who's winning?
All right, another strong week for the crew. Three-way tie at the top between Alex, Fred, and Paul. 14-2.
Off my game this week.
Mike, 13-3. And Evan, 12-4.
Okay.
Really good week. I told you it was a really
But
good week. for
I knew
everybody.
I had a little bit of an off week.
With the spread,
Very
Paul
accountable of
12-4, Evan 11-5,
Not too bad. though.
Fred and Alex 9-7, and Mike 8-8.
I fell apart with the spread.
Yeah, I felt bad.
So overall, Evan, I believe, it just has a commanding lead that will not be caught. 183-73, followed by Alex at 178-78, Paul 175-81, and Mike and Fred poop emoji 172-84.
Ooh, double poop.
Yeah.
With the spread, this is a little bit more interesting now. Evan has a double crown still. 148, 103, and 5, but only a one-game
like this
lead
for his
over
ego.
Paul. 147, 104, and 5. In our quest to find out what's more important, ball knowing or analytics. Fred, 142, 109, and 5. That's another one I promised I would eliminate in the new year. Fred, 142, 109, and 5. Mike, 140, 111, and 5. And Alex, poop emoji, 135, 116, and 5.
Okay.
Still a really good record for
all of
last place.
everybody. The fact that the
We should be
lowest
studied.
person is that much over 500 is
And I would be
impressive.
remiss if I did not include the folks.
No.
This is your lock of the week pick. Fred wins this week. He took Tampa, giving 7.5 and won easily over Carolina.
Well,
so
listen.
You're now 3-5 in your lock of the week.
Okay. I can't be perfect. All right.
No?
All right, we start.
That's for sure.
No Thursday night game. So we start on Saturday with a doubleheader. It starts at 4:30 on ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus, ESPN Deportes. It's the 3-13 Browns against the 11-5 Ravens.
Okay, folks. The Ravens by 18.
Really?
Damn.
Oh, Lordy.
Assuming they have something to play for.
What? They have to win the division.
Right.
Yeah. That's a lot of points.
Ravens by 18.
Yeah. Divisional game. Oh, man, that's a really hard pick.
There's a chance, I don't know if this has been named yet, but there's a chance that old friend Bailey Zaps will be the Browns quarterback.
Well,
He's a little feisty in these games sometimes.
That's right. But not today. Nah, I don't know, man.
Not
I'm going to go
tonight.
with Baltimore. I'll lay the 18. That seems crazy, but I think they got something to play for, and they'll play hard.
Too many points for me. I'll take the Ravens, but
Take the 18. Ev?
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing as Alex. Even though the Ravens do have something to play for, they're in the playoffs. Like, it's not like it's a real do or die. So I don't think they totally empty the clip on this one.
So I this is going to be strange because I don't think a whole lot of Zappy, but if Zappy plays, I would take the points.
Yeah.
DTR, I'd lay the points. I'm going to say that Baltimore blows them out in this. I'm going to take Baltimore both ways.
Well, the question is, like, how early does the game declare itself? And if it does, how early do the Ravens take their foot off the pedal? Like, if they get a 14-point lead, do they start
that's a good
cruising?
point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Once the game is won, maybe they don't cover because they don't have to.
That's sort of my point.
Yeah.
That was why I picked
So that's why I'm going to say the Ravens do not cover. It's not a lock.
Can I change?
No,
That's a swaying argument.
look yourself in the mirror.
This is
I
a
think
new.
if the
This is a
round
new
doesn't
me, Fred. I don't
completely-
argue with
A
him. I
whole
actually
new
take his
Paul.
advice. I take his advice now. I don't argue with him anymore. I'm gonna. Fred just swayed me. That's a really good point.
Fred making a strong
I'm gonna
case
take
for that
Cleveland.
karaoke
I made the
competition
same
too.
point, and he didn't say it was a good one.
You said that they were going
You
to
weren't
take
as
everybody
convincing.
out.
No, I just said that I didn't think they were going to empty the clip to win this game.
Yeah, but you're a ball knower. Yeah.
All right. Now we move to Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Again, the same lineup, ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus, ESPN Deportes. 8-8 Bengals at the 10-6 Steelers.
Still alive.
Cincinnati by 2.
Oh, I like this game. I like it. And I think I'm going to go with the Bengals here. I think Joey Burrow, feeling like Pittsburgh's been falling apart a little bit, and I just feel like Cincinnati just lay it all on the line. Go out there, sling it, right? Give me Cincy.
Yeah, I usually like the Steelers at home to at least cover, but not a big enough spread for me. Bengals.
I'm going to pick the Steelers in this game. I know they've been playing poorly, but I think that they get back in gear this week. And for the Bengals, you need a lot of things to go right to make the playoffs. I just don't really feel like they're already doing press conferences where it sounds like they're kind of turned the page a little bit. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I will say that Pittsburgh is going to take the field knowing that they can't move because Baltimore is going to have one, which I find surprising that they allowed that to happen, the NFL. You guys, you and your ilk, Fred, that are so worried about the competitive balance of these games that they set it up like this. I'm going to take Cincinnati both ways because I do agree that Pittsburgh needs to play better, but I'm not sure that they'll be emotionally in it.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, I had Mike Tomlin as my coach of the year, but the way the Steelers have kind of fallen off, he hasn't gotten these guys playing the way I thought they would down the stretch. So I'm going to go with my hated Bengals both ways to win this game. Plus, Joe Burrow, I think
incredible season.
Yeah, and if he
statistically,
finishes with a big game, he could have over 4,500 yards and over 40 touchdowns or something like that, and he'd be one of 5 players to do that or something like that.
He's had a hell of a year.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Bengals both ways. I think they pile on.
I think he might
here.
already be in the 40s, right?
Yeah.
For touchdowns.
Something like that. It's 45 and 45 maybe.
Oh, could be.
This has been a very good quarterback here at the top.
I mean, when Patrick Mahomes is not a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Sunday at 1, CBS, 4-12 Panthers at the 8-8 Falcons.
And rightfully not a Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Panthers, Falcons, Atlanta by 8.
Boy. Yikes. I'll take Atlanta at home, but I'm going to take the points for Carolina, division game. Atlanta's still in it, right? Or are they out?
They are
they're
still in it.
right?
They need a Tampa loss at
Right.
home to New Orleans.
Yeah, I'll take Atlanta to win, but I'll take the points for Carolina. It's a close one.
I will also split the baby.
I've been liking Carolina, but they got blown out last week by Tampa Bay.
They
So
did.
I think that they have let go of the rope. I'm taking Atlanta both ways.
Yeah, I'm going to take Atlanta both ways, too, because I think Michael Penix has given the offense a lift. So I think there'll be too many points for Carolina.
Yeah, this is a lock of the week. Falcons cover. Falcons cover.
The Falcons covering is the lock of the week.
Yeah.
Asterisk.
Is that?
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Fox at 1 o'clock. 11-5 Commanders at the 7-9 Cowboys.
Washington by 4.5.
Does this game mean anything?
I do not know if Washington can move seeds.
Yeah.
They are in, I know that, but I don't know if they can.
I'll take Washington to win. I'll take the points for Dallas. I think it's a close one.
I'll take Washington. I'll lay the points.
So I thought that Dallas was actually playing pretty hard down the stretch here, considering that they've been out of it for a while. And then last week happened, they lose 41-7 to a backup quarterback. So I'm taking Washington both ways.
Ended up being the third-string quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's an ugly loss.
Yeah, I'm going to take Washington both ways as well. Even if they can't improve their seed, I think they have more to play for, obviously.
Yeah. The fact that the Cowboys got blown out last week, I was trying to talk myself into them. Well, they're going to come back and play hard and cover, but I'm going to go with the Commanders both ways. I just can't talk myself into taking the Cowboys. All right, 1 o'clock on Fox, the 4-12 Bears at the 11-5 Packers.
The Pack by 10.
Oh boy. It's like these huge spreads. Like every game, I'm just tempted to say that they're going to be close. Take the favorite, but they're going to be close. But Green Bay, tough loss. I'm gonna take Green Bay. I'll lay the points. Bounce back at home against Chicago.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay is really locked into where they are. Like, they can't win the division, obviously. They've been playing everybody in this game. I feel like this might be a rest game.
I don't know.
Tough week.
Judging by the spread, I think they might be.
I'm going to take Green Bay, but I'm going to take Chicago to cover because I don't know. I don't know if Green Bay's playing for anything in this game.
Yeah, they're playing a team that is not good, so I'll take Green Bay both ways.
Totally.
When they play teams with pulses, they lose.
Yeah.
Lost to Detroit twice, lost to Minnesota twice, lost to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the wisdom of the big houses, and I'll say that the Packers
The big houses.
do cover. That's, the big ones, like Caesars and
Yeah.
MGM. Sid Diamond.
I'm with you guys.
Remember Sid Diamond?
Yeah, Eddie Anlin's
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Is he still around?
I doubt it.
What was he, Bally's?
I don't remember.
I think he was Bally's. He might have been, not the Tropic. He was one of those old school ones.
The Tropicana.
Sunday at 1 on Fox, the 4-12 Jaguars at the 7-9 Colts.
Indy by 5.
Yikes. Mac Jones closing it out, huh? These games are so terrible. Gross loss, too, for Indy last week. I'm going to take Jacksonville on the road with an upset. Go Mac.
Colts.
I think we all should be thanking Mac Jones for winning that game last week for the Patriots, and I'm going to take him again. I really liked what I've seen out of Brian Thomas Jr. I think he is the real deal, and I think he has another big game against the Colts defense that has really struggled here.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the quarterback class and how good they've been, and they have been, all of them. But the wide receiver class, so some good rookie years for wide receivers like Brian Thomas that I've mentioned. I'll take Jacksonville
Both
too.
those LSU boys.
No, not all of them.
If this game was in Jacksonville, I'd be
I don't
picking the
count them.
Jaguars, but the Colts win, but they do not cover. They do not cover. So there you go. Sunday at 1, CBS, the 3-13 Giants at the 13-3 Eagles.
The Eagles by 3, and evidently no Saquon.
No anybody. Sounds
Yeah,
like.
no Saquon, no Kenny Pickett. Who was the quarterback down to number 3?
Tanner
Tanner
McKee.
McKee, yeah.
Kind of can sling it.
Gosh. I'm not sure. I'll take Philly at home. It's just hard with it. You don't know who's playing or.
Yeah, I'm riding
who's
with
got
the
what to
Sharps.
play for.
Yeah, this is a
You're
tough
locked
one.
in.
Philly?
I'm taking Philly both ways. It's a culture win for the Eagles. I just think that the Giants' culture is broken, and Tanner McKee can kind of sling it.
Especially the Giants were like, we got to beat them. They took Saquon from us. Like,
No.
we got to show them.
I don't think
It's like one guy.
I don't think anybody cares.
I'm going to take Philly both ways, but the way the Giants played last week, they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves. I wouldn't be
So
surprised.
shock it out to Malik Neighbors.
So did any of you guys hear this rumor that the Giants already had a what-if deal with the Patriots?
What?
Like
what if what?
Like for wherever we'll have a. You'll talk to us about trading.
The first
Like trading what?
Pick this year?
Yeah, like depending on where we end up, they have scenarios for.
No, I haven't. Where was this emanating?
I just asked you if you've heard that.
I have not.
No, neither have I.
You're making it awfully hard for me not to
deals.
get
I don't know. He's keeping his job.
He's challenging me. I can't even make it through a whole show.
He's challenging me.
I got you there, huh?
You did?
No,
I
but
was like, what are we talking
Have you
about?
heard this? Neither have I.
I'm going to go with the Giants winning, and the football god saying, "See, serves the Eagles right."
Yeah.
Giants win the game.
Why would?
Because you play to win. I told a story about John Madden sent Tom Coughlin a letter after that 07 game where the Giants played to win in the last game of the season, saying, "Thank you for playing football the way it's supposed to be played. You play to win.
Okay.
Every game."
That's fair.
He said, "I'm almost a little emotional writing this letter to you."
I just will never forget Wes Welker tearing his ACL in Week 17.
In Houston?
Yeah.
Well,
do you have to be out there?
They
were going to get him out quick.
No, they lost.
Remember?
They lost the game that you insisted they won, and they lost their best player.
And they lost in the playoffs by a million.
Yeah.
So, before anybody jumps on me, non-Brady category.
Yeah, I got what you meant.
1 o'clock on Fox, the 5-11 Saints are at the 9-7 Buccaneers.
Bucks win.
Baker Bacon.
And they win the division. They're favored by 13.5 to do so.
Well, definitely taking Tampa. I'm going to go Tampa all the way. I think they come out and blow doors, get in the playoffs.
Tampa.
I'm going to take Tampa, but I'm going to take the Saints to cover because I just feel like Tampa's got a little bit of that, they just get a little choke in them sometimes and just a little tight butt, and I just think that they, I think they win, but I think it's a little closer than they wanted.
Yeah, I'm going to lay the points. Tampa both ways. I think they blow doors.
Yeah, I just think they score too many points. And if there's one way you can kind of lay down in a game, it's defensively, and
especially if you don't have any offense to sort of get in a fight.
Yep. So Buccaneers cover. 1 o'clock on CBS. 9-7 Texans at the 3-13 Titans.
Now, evidently, Houston is laying down in this game because the Titans are favored by 1.5.
Say what? That's weird. I don't believe him. I'm going with Houston in the upset.
Me too.
Me too. I think all of these games where teams are resting people, I don't think it outweighs the fact that they're winning teams and they actually have a winning culture and people actually want to be playing for their teams. So
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Houston.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Texans both ways.
Me too. All right, now we move to the second half because we're skipping over the Patriots at 1 o'clock. We go to 4:25. There's no 4:05 games. On Fox, the 6-10 49ers at the 7-9 Cardinals, Evans Cardinals.
Yes.
Arizona by 4. He said with
sure?
a question mark.
I think.
Do you have it the other way?
Brock Purdy.
I don't have it actually.
Okay.
That's what
No Brock
DraftKings has
Purdy.
right now.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't throw it up there?
that is what they have.
No Brock
All
Purdy.
So Arizona by 4. Yes, no Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I'll go Arizona at home then with that one. Lay the
Is
floor.
it because he's hurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got hurt late in the game.
He might have a tennis elbow Fred.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's gotta get one
I
of
know
those,
something
like,
about that.
One of the
bands.
little straps on. Strap it
The
on,
little
kid.
The Brett Favre copper thing.
Heard that's a painful injury.
Copper fit.
It can be.
Yeah.
I had it. You couldn't even lift a can of Coke.
Yeah. That's why I asked you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Pepsi.
Zona.
I am going to go with the 49ers in this game. I feel like I like how they've played. Even though they didn't beat Detroit, I thought they tried. They were competitive.
He's just trying to save Kyle Shanahan's job.
Well, they already said he's
Carrying
coming back.
a lot of water.
Deuce.
That's what they say.
And the fact that we even had to ask the question is ridiculous.
So who's throwing for the 49ers?
Brandon Allen, maybe?
Okay.
Sounds right.
CJ Beathard.
He played the other game that Purdy couldn't play.
Any good?
Yeah.
No.
I'm taking Arizona both ways.
Yeah, me too.
It's Josh Dobbs. Sorry.
Oh,
Just-
Josh Dobbs.
I should have known that. He
I
came into the
traded
game
him,
last
yeah.
week.
I'll double down on Arizona then.
425 CBS. The 15-1 Chiefs at the 9-7 Broncos.
Huge game.
Yep.
This is the big game in the AFC that
Yeah.
affects a lot of other teams. Denver by 10.5.
Jeez.
Yep. That's a lot.
I like Denver to win. I'm going to take the points, so you'd sit everybody in Kansas City. I still see him keeping it close in the division. So, yeah, I'll take Kansas City, the points.
Same.
Is Pat playing?
No, he's not. But I'm going to do the same thing because I'm sticking with my culture theme here. I think Kansas City's got enough fight in them to keep it competitive, good defense. But I'm going to take Broncos to win.
I'm going to take your culture thing a step further. I'll take Kansas City to win the game.
I like that.
Oh,
I
that's
like that.
that's a
That's
heady
Bo
move.
Nix.
Is that a lock for you?
No.
That's
Just an upset pick.
That's a.
I think there might be a little choke going on with Denver. I thought they were playing for a tie last week. I didn't care for that, even though the tie got them in the playoffs.
They could have played for the tie.
They did. But then he admitted it. Well, Peyton admitted it after the game. That we knew a tie would get us in the playoffs.
Defense does travel, and when you're playing the Broncos, you always have to travel. So the Chiefs cover. They don't win, but they do cover.
So everybody likes the points anyway.
Yep.
Broncos 9-7. That mirrors their home schedule.
Quit on the first one. That's much better.
Yeah, I know. I didn't follow through with that. 425 and Fox, the 9-7 Seahawks at the 10-6 Rams.
The Jimmy Garoppolo led Rams. Seattle by 6.5. I'm sorry. Other way around.
Rams
by 6.5.
Oh,
Is that because
I have Seattle?
is Stafford hurt?
As do I.
So maybe you had.
So
is Stafford hurt?
Stafford's
No,
not
he's
playing.
resting.
He's resting.
So Rams are locked in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
I have it.
So
as,
we sure? Because
I have it as Seattle 6.5.
Because I wrote plus 6.5. Oh, wait a minute. No, yeah, yes, it's Seattle's favorite. I have it written right. I just read it wrong.
Gotcha.
Seattle by 6.5.
Okay.
This game is at the Lar.
I'm going to keep going weird with splitting the baby. I want to take the Rams to win, but I'll take the points for Seattle.
What?
No, Seattle's favored by
Seattle's
6.5.
favored?
I that's my fault. I read it wrong.
Oh,
Seattle's favored by 6.5.
I got you. I'll take Seattle outright then.
Yeah, me too.
So Seattle's eliminated.
Yes. Strength of victory.
Where's your strength of program now?
I'm gonna.
Who's got the better program?
You're so right. You're so right. And I'm going to go with the Rams because you know what? I'm sticking with it.
The pants are a little bit tighter.
Rams to win.
Yeah, I'm with Evan.
Jimmy Guap.
Yeah, I mean,
Program.
I think Garoppolo
Culture.
he's a competent quarterback. They should be able to move the ball and put some points on the board. I'll take the Rams to win at home.
I am too. I think Garoppolo still thinks he can start in this league, and it's a good day to prove it. So Rams win. 425 CBS, 10-6 Chargers, coming off a huge win against the 4-12 Raiders.
Yeah, the LAC by 4.5.
Ooh.
So they're predicting that they're going to rest some people.
They're definitely going to rest some people. But you know what? It's another culture game division. I'm going to take the LAC. LAC and lay.
I'm going with the Chargers too.
Okay.
LAC and lay.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm sticking to my guns on this one. I think the Raiders they might be firing a coach come Monday morning. I think that team is in for an overhaul again. So
They won 2 in a row.
Chargers
Being frisky.
They're playing hard for him.
sure are, Deuce.
A certain part owner is going to walk in on Monday and say, "You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Who's
You're
fired?
You have a disgrace
Your
to
family.
Your family.
My family's
It's
fired.
about honor.
You're too old.
I'm going to take the lack also. I don't know why, but I'll take the lack.
Disrespectful to the GOAT.
I
It's
learned it from
endearing.
watching Mike.
It's an endearing.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chargers as
We're
well.
roasting him.
Both
We're
ways.
roasting him.
425 Fox, 8-8 Dolphins at the 4-12 Jets.
Another game with implications. The Dolphins by 1.
Dolphins can still
Dolphins out
make
by
the playoffs.
one.
If Denver loses, Miami's in with a win.
That's
and I
crazy.
believe
I'll take,
believe no Tua again.
Yeah, but that's still crazy. It's gonna be Scoop.
I can't. I want to take
It's
Miami.
Snoop.
I'll take
I
Miami.
think it's Snoop, isn't it?
I
Give
never
me
get
the Dolphins.
Gimme the Dolphins.
Yeah, I guess me too.
So these are two teams that have 0 Pro Bowlers. The
Yeah.
Patriots, 1 Pro
right.
Bowler. So
By the way,
Credit to us.
Yeah.
add in the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills have 2.
yeah. So
Three Pro Bowlers in the division.
so if
We got one
Gonzo
of-
gets named an
Yikes.
alternate, then we're tied with the Bills. So basically, we are just as good as the Bills.
Talent. Check the boxes.
Anyways, I'm gonna go with the Dolphins in this game against the Jets. The Jets are. I don't know about those Jets. They're Aaron Rodgers maybe out. I don't know.
They're gearing up for the trade in the offseason with the Patriots.
The forced trade, yeah.
Paul?
I'll take the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Tyler Huntley. I thought he played reasonably well last week. I don't think he'll do it again.
It's a tough one. Do the Jets come out wanting to play? That's the question. Like,
I wouldn't.
is there a reason for them to? Is there a reason for them to come out and put up a good performance that final game? I say yes. I think they do win this game. 8:20 on NBC,
Oh.
Universo, Telexitos, and Peacock.
I like the universe.
This is the game of the week. The 14-2 Vikings at the 14-2 Lions.
winner take all. Lions by 2.5.
Wow, love it. Just, I mean, 2 of the feel-good stories of the year, right?
Just
Two
going
teams
14-3 and getting the
yeah.
5th seed.
It's crazy. That shot though of Kevin O'Connell watching Sam Darnold get like lifted up, and
I mean, was that looked
O'Connell
like
just standing there like
Dune
with a
Part
proud
2 or
grin on his
something?
face. It was
That
pretty
was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I'm really tempted to take Minnesota on this one, and you know what? I'm gonna do it. I think they upset Detroit at home. Just injuries catching up with Detroit at the end, and Minnesota just seems like they're peaking right now. So I got to go with Minnesota.
I'm gonna go with the Lions.
This is your coach of the year by a landslide,
KOC.
I think, at this point. With
KOC?
Kevin O'Connell. I mean, 14-2 with Sam Darnold, like that. That's
played really
pretty
well.
incredible, and I'm going to take the Vikings to win this game. The Lions' defense cannot stop anybody, and I worry really about their whole longevity in the playoffs too with that defense. I mean, the 49ers moved the ball at will in that game last week, so I'm taking the Vikings.
I really thought I was going to be alone on this. I'm taking the Vikings also. I just feel like their defense will at least get a stop or two and make life a little bit more difficult. That's how Detroit's trying to win games now, is they're just saying we need to score every time. We're going to go for 4th down every time because we know we have to protect our defense. And Minnesota's defense should be able to get a stop or two and keep it, around 30. And if that happens, I think the Vikings will have an opportunity to win the game.
I think you're all speaking my language. I think the Vikings win this game. The battle for the NFC. I think it's the Vikings. All right, now we move back to 1 o'clock on CBS. It's the game of our week. The 13-3 Bills at the 3-13 Patriots.
Buffalo by 2.
Buffalo by 2.
What? 13-3.
Every other team that's resting starters is not favored in this game.
I just feel like the way things have been going this year, this feels like a Patriots win to me. Feels like this is the game they pull it together and they play right and they knock off the backups and maybe Joe Milton throws a touchdown or something. But I got New England winning. I'll say 20-16.
I don't feel that way.
Oh.
I'm going to say Bills 28, Patriots 14.
I feel the same way as Deuce. I mean, how other way could you finish a season like this by winning to lose the number 1 pick? Like
that's been
just
going.
It's just extremely fitting for how this has all gone.
Yep.
Is that this would be the game that they kind of put it together and have a decent game when they don't want to win the game?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Patriots 27-20 over the Buffalo Bills, and I think Drake May plays for the majority, if not the entire game.
and you're pulling your hair out from start to finish.
I really have nothing.
We need an Evan Cam for
no
this game.
idea what to expect in this game. I'm going to take Buffalo because I think their backups are going to play, and I think they're going to play hard.
Yeah.
I would give the Patriots a better chance if there was a smattering,
starters,
you know, and they were like kind of played the whole game like they did the first half in Buffalo, like with no intensity.
Yeah.
But Mitch Trubisky, he's a backup for a reason, but he'll go out and play hard.
Yeah.
I think they'll be hard pressed.
He's terrible.
Yeah,
23-20 Buffalo.
It's going to be apropos for this season for the Patriots to win this game.
Exactly.
Correct.
Right.
And they will.
Oh.
11-3.
Wow.
11-3 is just beautiful.
Buckle up.
How are we getting to 11? Like 2-point conversion?
I don't know.
Safety?
They'll find a way.
Some weird rule where
That's
you have
gotta
4
be-
points on a
Deuce,
play.
is that a
I don't know.
scoregami?
It's like 3 field goals and a safety or something.
That's got to be a scoregami, 11-3.
All right. That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. Stay tuned for Catch 22. There is a pregame show.
Yeah.
10:45
and a postgame show, our last one of the season. So it'll be a good one. So make sure you tune in for that. But stay tuned for Alex and Evan on Catch 22. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.